got next.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to season 3, episode 6. Let's go of the Street Fighter I Got Next community podcast. It's your host with the most, the wing commander himself, Shadow Ace on ones and twos, and I'll be the moderator for the podcast this evening, joined by my co-host on production, always making sure the vibes are smooth, the mayor of Macon himself, Sir Retro, and of course, as tradition, I want to first thank Sir Retro for agreeing to host a discussion on his platform. So if you're not already following the live broadcast channel on Twitch, hit that follow button to join in on the live shows on Twitch because we do interact with the live listeners in the comments, and we sometimes we'll have a little dialogue back and forth. The reason I have assembled you all here this evening is to get your views and opinions on your local Street Fighter scene. Now that Street Fighter 6 has been out for about 5 or 6 months by now, and an opportunity to discuss how you feel about local scene in the game in general. I mean, everyone has their own opinions. They may hold different views towards the game, the community in general. And this platform is just an opportunity to express yourself in a constructive manner. Start off first by introducing our panel for this evening. I'll go first. Shadow Ace. I am a player, commentator, podcaster, record runner, TO. A man of many hats here, man. Just you know, just out here trying to live the Lily life as being a player, and then excited to see what Ed has in the upcoming months. And so Retro, talk to the good people.
Yo, yo, yo. How's it going, everyone? For those who do know and those who do not know, I'm Sir Retro, the other half of the I Got Next podcast series alongside with Shadow Ace. Of course, I'm located in the middle Georgia area, head TO of the Reboot Retrocade gaming crew, as well as part of the esports organization Swag Out Nerds. Basically, also tournament runner, competitor, teacher, trainer, he's director of all sorts. Very involved in many ways, and just like Shadow Ace, I have many hats as well. But definitely, of course, we'd like to thank you guys for tuning in to this special episode. And definitely, I'm excited for this because recently I traveled back from Philadelphia to visit family and all. But in a sense, we're traveling somewhere much, much different for this episode. Then we're going to international. So, speaking of, who do we have sitting in an awesome seat as a special guest?
We gotta we gotta go across the pond for this one, bro. You know what I'm
Guess
saying?
what,
Man's
beef?
like you know what I'm saying? Man's like UG Ghost. Ghost in the mix. What's going on, Ghost? Yo, talk
Hey,
to the good people. Introduce yourself to the world.
Hey, first of all, shout outs to both you guys, and thank you so much for inviting me onto the podcast. I'm super excited to talk to you guys about fighting games. It's just so nice, to meet other people that are as passionate about fighting games as I am. And it's not just playing the game; it's being part of the community, and there's a lot of other stuff that goes into making the FGC what it is. And without you guys, stuff like this wouldn't be possible. So thank you. So again, for those of you that don't know me, my name is Ghost. I'm a member of SFO, which is my local fighting game community. I help TO there. I've been part of SFO since day one, since it was 4 people sat in a kitchen having breakfast and playing Marvel on a 50-inch TV, all the way up to running, major tournaments every year. We've done it all. I'm also part of Untamed Gaming. Shout out to my Untamed Gaming homies over in North America. I run the EU side there. I TO Marvel, Street Fighter 6, Street Fighter 4, and we do a bunch of other fighting game stuff here as well. So hopefully, if anyone that doesn't know me, you'll check out the stream at some point. You'll get to know me. Also, the head of the Pigeon
Yeah.
Posse. We got to give some shout outs to the Pigeon Posse.
I saw the pigeon emotes in the chat earlier. So that the crew checking in. They checking in.
Got to be some pigeons about, man.
So
So yeah,
it
apart
is,
from all that
man.
stuff,
So
what the stream's known for is the pigeons. I started full-time FGC streaming about 3 years ago. Kind of made it a career for a while. I've had a lot of fun. I've run a lot of tournaments. I've met a lot of really cool people. I've traveled the world. And hopefully today I'll be able to share some of my love for fighting games with you guys as well.
we appreciate you taking the time out of your day to make this happen and get it popping, or make it popping or get it happen, as
Hey, let's get it
Ghost
happening.
as Vest DJ Vest would say. You know what I'm saying? But big shout outs to Ghost Man for coming through for us. So if you guys missed out on the previous episode, which was episode 5, please check it out on Reboot Retrocade's gaming YouTube channel for that season 1 and season 2 full playlist for episodes there. I also have it pinned on my Twitter page at Mind of Shadow Ace as well for that link. Last episode we was talking with Alabama's NCAA Negaman and Risusuke as we got their take on fighting game culture and tournament organization. So shouts to the man scene for taking some time out to speak with us on that for episode 5. But here we are on episode number 6, and we are again, like I said, we're going across the pond, and things may be running different. Things may run differently over there than it is over here. But I think there'll be quite a lot of similarities here. So I'm interested to learn more about that culture over on this EU side there. But I do have a question for the both of you. I kind of call it like a mind game. So basically, what it is get your brains thinking and get the juices flowing about being creative on your answers, because we got an interesting panel, man. There's a lot to talk about, but the mind game question is here. It is. Here's the riddle. Y'all ready for it?
Hey, hit me, man.
go for it.
All right. So, what has 4 letters and sometimes 9 letters, but never has 5 letters?
Mel?
Yeah.
Wait.
You said Mel?
Yeah.
And the mix is real. The mix is real.
Oh, I should know this one.
I was not prepared for a riddle.
Damn. It's all good. It's all good.
All right, my answer is
You-
free.
you- you- my
Free.
second.
Free?
That's my answer. It's free.
Free. Damn. Body, yo.
Also has 9 letters.
That's so
Outplayed.
good. I'll play, yo, the footsies, the mental footsies, man. It's real right now.
It never has
But,
5 letters, yo.
Yeah. But that's it. I give up. Throw in the towel on this one.
Oh yeah, I'm
You gotta think
done.
about it some more. You done?
I'll
Body.
be here all night, baby.
Damn.
You should
Alright,
have
what about-
asked me is what has 5 letters. My name. Shit.
Damn, ghost.
Damn.
What has 5 letters but can't disappear? Something, I don't know.
There you go. See, that's for
Alright.
next episode, huh?
Look, I'm gonna go 0-2 this
All
one.
right, so the answer. Are you going 0-2 on this one? All right, bet. All right, so I don't know if anybody in chat might know. If not, then I got the answer for y'all. So basically, the answer is in the riddle. What has four letters? WHAT. What has four letters and sometimes nine letters? So the word sometimes has nine letters and never has five letters. And so the answer was in the riddle.
It was that little, huh?
Here it
Wow.
is, I'm telling you, y'all get that. It gets the creative juices going, man. Got to think about some stuff, yo, because we got a lot to go over here on this panel, man. And we're gonna start out with some ghost stuff, yo. To understand the present, we have to go to the beginning, man. The man behind the pigeon himself, the leader of the flock, the Godfather, yo. Who is UG Ghost, bro? Like, how did you join Untamed Gaming? You know what I'm saying? Like, what is the origin story? You mentioned at the beginning, you was with the SFO group when it was just four people playing Marvel, but what led you to doing to where you're at right now?
I think, joining Untamed Gaming, that was kind of, it was during the Street Fighter 4 era, sort of after 5 came out, but before 6, there was kind of like, there's a few years where we ran a really big Street Fighter 4 scene. And I was already doing it here in the EU, and then I came across Vest, who started running his Fight Club exhibition series every Tuesday. We all know about the Tuesday stream, some of the most entertaining Street Fighter streams I've ever seen on Vest stream on a Tuesday. We always had guest commentary. It was like a real community thing. And I think once we realized we are both doing the same thing, it made sense to kind of partner up and keep it going. We both had a massive passion for Street Fighter 4 and for Marvel. So we just, we've been running those games together ever since.
And it was just like magic. So you basically you found his stream, you talked, and then you guys just coordinated from there.
Yeah, well, we just
Basically,
started. You guys would always turn up on a Tuesday. Vest started asking us to play on the stream, and then one day he was like, "Look, would you like this opportunity to to do something with your stream, to run some tournaments, to run some events?" And I was still like, that was probably the first year I was streaming full time, so I was really looking to do some big stuff for the community. And when Vest came along and he wanted to get involved, we ran some international events together. I just knew like it was all about the game. It was all about Street Fighter 4. Anything we could do to push that game into the spotlight and make it hype for the people that still played it. That was always my like main objective. And seeing how hyped the American community was, how many people turned up in Vest Stream every week to watch the games, to have banter with the community. It was like it felt like a real like tight knit FGC within the FGC. It was like its own little community of Street Fighter 4 players that we'd built over like a couple of years, and it all just came together to the point where we were able to run big events. Obviously, I traveled to Combo Breaker to meet everybody earlier this year.
Mm.
Yeah, it was crazy, and just in the right place at the right time. That's how it goes. You meet other people that want to do the same thing, and you either grow together or you go against each other. So me and Vest decided, let's do what we can together for these amazing fighting games that we love.
Mm. And then there were so many players and so many stories that came from those particular type of memories, and people who are wandering playing the game, they was like, man, I wish there was like some more Ultra Street Fighter 4 tournaments, or dang, there's no more Street Fighter 4 events. Like, what happened to the game? And they stumble upon this community randomly on a day, and they say, oh wow, you guys are doing events here. My name is such and such. They introduce themselves, and next thing you know, weeks and weeks, months and months passed, and then they're part of the community. They found a home just because of wandering interests, or word of mouth that they heard that people were still running those events. So man, it's people like you and Invest, man, that like I'm really grateful for you that you guys contribute so much to trying to get that game out there and push it for its content, man. So you built your community from the ground up, man, and I admire the dedication and commitment to the cause. I mean, you have over 100 members in your own Discord, and
Yeah, we're up
you
to nearly
just keep
500
going
now
from
since
there.
6 came out, which is
Up
crazy.
to up to
Oh,
500,
wow.
yeah, more than dang.
That's what I'm
Like,
saying. Yeah, it's
dang.
grown a lot, man, since 6 came
Jeez.
out. But it all started with 4, and those like 2.5 years where we all collaborated together was some of the best years I ever played Street Fighter 4. For the game to still be that exciting 10 years after release when it's not the main game anymore. We made it that exciting, you know. The characters we had
Mm.
in the community, you know, there was some funny people still played great. You know, there was a lot of talented players that still dabbled in the game like pretty heavily. So yeah, we got to see some great tournaments, some great online, offline events, you know, the exhibitions every week. It was a magical time, man. I guess COVID was kind of partly to thank for that because people had a lot more free time on their hands, I guess.
Yeah, and it definitely changed the dynamic of the whole work from home environment. That kind of changed a lot for people's jobs, and I guess during that whole beginning phase of COVID, things were a bit different, for sure. So people were more or less inclined to be indoors and trying to take precautions and whatnot. So in the intern, they hop online and play some games and stuff. But it's kind of difficult to captivate an entire audience. It's just that person. It is. I think it would be just up to the person to trying to figure out like where the tournament's at for this, or asking a white person, and they can guide you in that direction. And I know you also did Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 too, but that's why what I wanted to ask was why these games specifically? Like, what makes you enjoy them more than others?
So I don't know what it was about. I still couldn't tell you why 4 is my favorite game. There's just something about playing Street Fighter 4, the joy that it brings me and the excitement I have when I play it, the enjoyment of the execution and the footsies and you know, the fact that the whole cast is really there's just so many things about the game that just made it's been my favorite game for a long time now. And a lot of people probably won't know this, but I mostly played 3D before Street Fighter 4. I played a lot of Tekken and a lot of Soul Calibur. I've dabbled in a lot of fighting games, but Street Fighter 4, it was I think the mix of having a community and it was like the first real like fighting game with like good online outside of like Tekken was the first thing I played online probably. And then Street Fighter 4 came along and it was like the first game that had like a pretty good net code. We were playing on Xbox. And so this it was really playable because you could just jump on and play ranked or play with your friends every day. And so that's what I did. And Marvel was just at that same time, like they were both around the same era. And when we started the locals, we had you know mostly Street Fighter 4 and some Marvel. And I grew up playing Marvel 2 as well, so I was a big Marvel fan. And just having the locals there gave me people to play with, so it piqued my interest for the game a lot more. And after that, you traveled, and when you traveled to tournaments, you had the holy grail of Street Fighter 4 Marvel anywhere you went. So after
Hmm.
that, I was like, I can justify traveling just about anywhere to play 2 games, you know? So then it just became travel anywhere possible to play Street Fighter or Marvel. And that was my life for like 10 years.
Yeah, I mean, it all tells a story, man. Everyone walks a different path, and
Indeed.
the game can have a much deeper meaning than just pressing buttons. It's the community aspect too as well. The people you meet within the community, I mean, those can become your lifelong friends.
And most of
People
them
you've
have like a
known
lot
more
of
than
people I met at
yeah.
SFO, they've moved, you know, to walking distance from my house. Like, you know, we can all hang out anytime. And that's one of the reasons I think I've kept playing the game all these years is because the game's great and I love it, but the community and the people that you build and the friends you meet along the way, that's what it's all about. And that's why, you know, offline was so important to me to have a local scene and to travel to other local scenes and big tournaments. And then obviously when COVID happened, I missed that a lot. That's why I started the stream. That's why I started running tournaments because it was my way to bring the community together and do the best thing I could when we couldn't actually meet offline and play. That's what we had. So we made the most of it, you know?
And then when it was time to actually like try to meet up offline with everybody, the meetup was even more real because now it's more people, right? More people you guys got to meet up offline to play after all that time um there from being inside from COVID. So like games always tell a story, man. I always say that it's always very interesting to see how people start out with their gaming content. I mean, you're streaming content, you stream for hours and hours on end. I literally gone to sleep, woke up, and you were still streaming, and I'm like, bro, how does he do that?
Hey,
How
I've
do you
definitely done
dedicate
some long
yourself to do
streams. Yeah.
something like that?
It's just when you
Like,
enjoy it, it's easy. You know, when Street Fighter 4 was, you know, popping a couple of years ago, we ran 17 hours of sets back to back with no break. You know, we had sets from Brazil, Australia, America, Europe. Like everyone in the world played on that stream. People commentated, and no one ever got bored, so we just kept the stream on. because that's where the community had got to, where people just hang out all night and watch Street Fighter 4, and they wanted, people would ask me to keep the stream on even when I wanted to go to bed, so I did. For the people.
For the people, man. That's the act of the Godfather. That's the act of a Godfather right there. Taking care of his community, man. But yeah, you guys, you brought in so many different players from around your region and area now. You mentioned over 500 something members in your own Discord. So that's just, I mean, that's amazing, man. That's amazing. And I know it's going to keep growing from there. Word is going to spread. Maybe somebody doesn't know that there are tournaments for these events that go on in their region, and then this person tells this person, and that person tells this person, and it just spreads like wildfire. So keep up that, man. Good stuff.
Hey, for sure, man. There's a lot of tournaments these days as well, so it's really nice to see all these communities are doing their own bit as well. Like here in the EU, there's a different Street Fighter 6 tournament, a good one, every night of the week, with a Matcherino or a Capcom tournament or just something hype with some great commentary. Every night of the week, you can enter some of these events. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's popular.
Oh yeah,
It's a bloom. We're in a blessed bloom era for fighting games, man. I remember there was a drought a few years back, maybe 10 years so ago, where there was just nothing going on, no recent games being released, but all of a sudden we're in a great bloom right now. So
all right.
shout outs to growth, man. Shout outs to growth.
Yeah.
But the house. So how are you enjoying Street Fighter 6 so far, Ghost?
You know what? Honestly, I love the game. I think for the first version of the game, they've done such an incredible job. Like, all the cast is very unique. Even though it has the same core mechanics, every character does feel unique and different to play. I really like that they've mixed up some of the classics. Instead of Guy, now we have Kimberly. Instead of T-Hawk, we have Lily. I like they've really tried to shake things up. And if nothing else, the netcode is absolutely spectacular. So they've got some work to do. Right? I'm not going to tell you it's a perfect game because it needs some work, right? But it's the first release. I really like that they're not changing anything for a year. To see the CPT, like the main finals, to see that after the game's been the same for 8 months, rather than having it buffed or nerfed or changed. Imagine you get placed in Capcom Cup with JP, then suddenly JP gets nerfed a month before Capcom Cup. It changes the whole dynamic of the tournament. You're not the same player that got there in the first place with the same character. So I really like that they've taken the whole year and they're just going to let everyone go to Capcom Cup with the character that they've been playing this whole time, and they get to play it out, and then we get to really see the game at the highest level and see what all these characters are truly capable of, with months and months of labbing and no changes. I'm really excited to see Capcom Cup more than ever, I think, because there's no changes to anything in the game. And then after that, I'm really looking forward to seeing what they shake up with the game after a year. So it's a really exciting time. We're almost 6 months into the game's release at this point, and they've already addressed some problems. But the game is really fun. It's very high octane. It's very difficult to play, especially on stream. I find it difficult to learn stuff and figure people out and do the stream at the same time. But yeah, overall, the game is, I'm not going to say flawless, but it's as close to flawless as you're going to get for a non-patch fighting game, really. They did such a good job. And I'm really excited to see these new DLC characters before the end of the season. We've got Ed and Akuma coming. I know that's going to bring a lot of players are going to be playing those two characters for sure.
Oh yeah, for certain, for certain. I'm gonna say my answer for a bit later, but yeah, retro, how you enjoying 6 so far?
So I'm on the same boat with Ghosts. I truly love this game. Like, the more I play it, the more I enjoy the game, more than I expected. And it's really, for me, it's hard to try to go back to any other Street Fighter. And actually, as much as I love Street Fighter 3, which is one of my favorite in the series, and Street Fighter 2, I will always find a reason to play Street Fighter 6. It's addicting. I'm gonna say it like that, because apparently, every time I play some other games to take a break, in my head is I want to play Street Fighter 6 so bad. I have other games I want to play, I have like 500 other games, and then it's like I find myself messaging people in the Discord like, "Hey, y'all guys play Street Fighter 6?" And they're like, "Yeah." And I could sit down and play the game for hours and hours online through rank, through casuals, the battle hub, even the war tour. I got level 67, like because the way is has been presented in design is so much you can do, which was missing from the previous Street Fighter, and it's just so many features and everything about it, and it's like I'll even testify from the people on casual end. I'll bring the game to the bar on some Sundays, and the bartender's like, "Yeah, bring your PlayStation." And I remember people, who first saw the new Street Fighter was not interested in it. Well, no, not interested in it. They just trying to figure out what it was because it's all like open world stuff. And I told them the new game, and then they tried it out. Now every time I go on Sundays, I may not bring my PlayStation. They get mad because they want to play that game, and they love it. Like they really like it, and I really like. And that's the thing I really liked more about it, for not only just for the competitive and for me personally that really enjoy it, but it's for other people outside of our bubble of the FGC and the competitive nature of gaming.
I agree completely with that. Yeah, something I didn't touch on was the single player content. Like having the World Tour and the Battle Hub is like, it appeals to a really casual audience. And
Right.
a lot of the fighting game community are people that don't necessarily enter tournaments. They just enjoy fighting games and they like the characters and they like playing through the single player content. And this game has provided something for everybody, on the first release. I think the World Tour is amazing. The way you put all the moves together to make your own unique character. And you can create some really cool. I've seen the combos on Twitter. There's some really cool stuff you can do.
Very creative. I love it. I mean, yeah, and like I said, you can watch. You can go to the Battle Hub. We can do a lot of stuff. And like I said, it attracted a lot of people in the bar, and they're like 50 years old, or
yeah.
And
it's
so
amazing.
forth.
It attracts people from all over, and then they've got like the modern controls, which are it's a very controversial subject. But for the casual players, I think the modern and even the dynamic, which I haven't explored too much, but I heard it's pretty good too, right? So for the casual players, it gives them an opportunity to press buttons and do some cool stuff.
Yeah, because all the time they'd be like, "Oh man, I don't know how to play this." I'm like, "Well, there's a button mash." Like, well, you know what? There's basically a button mashing control scheme. Well, you give it a shot. And they were like seeing themselves doing the crazy combos and stuff, just mashing buttons. And next people was like, "Oh, they're playing for shots, they're playing for money at the bar." And and the bartender just like, "I loving this. Like, hey, I'm gonna pay to hand out drinks. That's all." And I'm watching money matches because the guy actually is the third strike and Marvel 2 player, like really good. And
the guy that runs the bar.
Yeah, he's a manager, but the actual owner. Yeah, and the owner actually gave a free ring on that because it saw how much attraction it brought to people because they knew about me, like because we have an arcade bar downtown where we run our tournaments, and then the other bar where the bartender is, he works at. That's the one I go to on Sunday nights, and then I bring the games over there, and then with the Street Fighter 6 in particular happened. Like people would be begging me, they would bother him to tell me to bring the game. And sometimes I couldn't make it, and they get disappointed. And that's how much like it really brought so much attention. And at the same time, the owner of the bar, because he appointed the guy as the general manager of the bar. So he's like, yeah, look, I'm here just to make sure the bar is okay. But there's a lot of people enjoying having a good time on the TV. There are people buying drinks. I like this. That's how it makes me money. But you know what? Y'all keep it going. So basically, I have like not control per se, but I do have like good permission to like bring it whenever I want and just put it on TV whenever I can, and then the people will play it and have a good time, and they be playing for hours.
Hey, you love to hear it, man. That's what it's all about,
Oh, definitely.
That's shot matches. Hey, but look, that's interesting because being able to have the game on the screen and people just having a good time, and I guess you set it up for a dynamic or modern mode and they just press buttons, just have fun, So big shout outs to you doing that, man. I think that's one of the ways you could definitely bring in players, and that always leads me to have this question that I've always thought about, man. If Because you guys mentioned Battle Hub a bit earlier, so I'm just thinking like if Street Fighter 6 didn't have Battle Hub, do you think it would have the same amount of the player base? Like there are three
Hmm.
times more player base for this game now, so they're doing something right, right? You know, the Avatar and Battle Hub community. I think more games do need. I think more future fighting games definitely need this feature, and I'll tell you why. You know, I think it definitely also needs modern controls too. Again, that's another spicy topic. I mean, look at Tekken 8, you know, Grand Blue, Guilty Gear Third, you know,
Mm-hmm.
if they didn't have that Battle Lounge avatar thing, you know, would things change? Is that a requirement for future fighting games? You know, just at least to bring in from the casual aspect, like looking at it as, all right, we got this little avatar where you could create your little character, you could just run around the lobbies, and that's all people do. They don't really play the game, you know. They don't really engage in the matches and all that stuff, but they just sit around the hub. And I'm just thinking, other games are starting to come out with that approach. And you're starting to see modern controls too as well, like easier access for accessibility for controls as well. So is that the future of fighting games? Would Street Fighter have the same amount of numbers if it didn't have Battle Hub?
I
So
mean,
I don't know if every
yeah.
other fighting game would adopt it, but I think that Street Fighter 6 has all the ingredients to be the most successful fighting game of all time, because a lot of fighting games will come out and the casuals will play at the beginning and then they get bored and wander off relatively quickly, and there ends up being the diehard players, the tournament players, the people that grind ranked. They're the
Mm-hmm.
ones left on the daily basis. Whereas this game, I feel like we're nearly 6 months in and the casuals are still meeting up in Battle Hub every night and playing on the setups and playing Avatar Battle and playing World Tour. They keep adding stuff to World Tour, adding stuff to do in the Battle Hub. There's drive tickets to spend on just like general stuff. It's something just to keep everybody engaged. The tournament scene's thriving, and the casuals they're eating good. They can be a Ninja Turtle in the Battle Hub if they want. They
Yep.
can do these Avatar battles, Avatar
Chipotle.
tournaments. Yeah, don't forget about the Chipotle. Yo, I got my Chipotle card at Combo Breaker. Let's go. But
Yeah.
yeah, I feel like this game has all the ingredients, honestly, to be the most successful fighting game. And I
No.
think they're just doing everything right so far.
Yeah. I mean, you can tell by the numbers because I just looked it up. As of now, it sold nearly 2.5 million units since it
That's
launched.
insane.
And in comparison to Street Fighter Five, that was supposed to hit. They expected to project it to 1 million within 3 months. It ended up being 3 years. So you see that major difference of because ultimately, no, not only does the game for us, but ultimately for the company themselves, Capcom, to profit off this because they're gonna try to make money off and to hopefully they can use that money to do more stuff with the game. And
That's it. The more money they make, the more money they put back into it because it's
Yep.
making money. That's why there's so much money in the CPT this year. What was it, like 2 million?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, 2 million for yeah. You have the top, was it top 32 or 48?
I'm not sure how it gets paid out, but I just know that, if you place in that tournament, you're probably getting a nice paycheck, man.
Yeah. Now there's that
And that's
major.
good. You love to see it. FGC never been known for making money, never been known for esports, and suddenly we are growing, man, rapidly.
You could be a millionaire winning Street Fighter. That's the weirdest. That's something you would never.
Playing a fighting game, just any fighting game.
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Being that successful for playing a fighting game is unheard of. It's only like the elite games, the StarCrafts, the League of Legends, the
Right.
Counter-Strike. Before that, those are the only ones where people were potentially winning some life-changing money, whereas now, fighting games are doing well. I know Tekken had a lot of money involved in its world tour. They had big tournaments in Saudi Arabia.
Oh yeah,
gamers
gamers.
going on for Street Fighter 6.
Oh,
It's a crazy time for the FGC for sure, crazy. But I think because of stuff like this, they're keeping the casual audience engaged in the game for longer. So ultimately, there are more players, and some of these casual players eventually they are leveling up because they're stuck with the game longer than they might have done before. And the training mode stuff they have in this game is phenomenal. I think Tekken's gonna do really well in that department as well. Tekken 8 training mode looks incredible. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but you can basically roll back the replay 10 seconds and then replay it like yourself. You can put yourself back in the driver's seat
Yep.
and go, okay, what did I get hit by? How do I dodge it? You know, how do I block it? How do I
I,
punish it? And you
I
could
wouldn't
just
be
run it
surprised if
back.
yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised if like
That honestly,
Capcom.
that's gonna be so valuable for somebody like me who's like lost a lot of the legacy knowledge of Tekken to go back and
Mm,
play it, and I feel like I have a real chance to learn again now, which is amazing.
no, you're right, right. No, you're right because like the thing I wouldn't be surprised if even if somehow Capcom implements a similar system idea concept with it to like, but it is interesting because like that because like I said the fact that now we're in the age that fighting games has a more immersive concept in mind, and like I said, now casuals can get more involved, and they can get to the point where hopefully it could get jump to the competitive side of things. For cause like I said, because the thing that people want to do is try to get people to play the fighting games. All that's what they want to do. The Capcom just want people to play fighting games and play their games, and that's mainly it. And of course, you have the competitive scene that's going to be dedicated to it. They're going to be loyal, maybe some ups and downs and whatnot. But then if you want to have people that are very more deep into the fundamentals of it, or that really, want someone, casual about it, but like to have a lot of resources to help them get better, that's where we're finally at that age now where fighting games are going to pretty much, doing that. They're going to start catering to that. And hopefully, I think right now, I think it's a good step towards that.
Oh, for sure, man. I mean, they're doing an excellent job of pumping out the content there. Keep bringing out these new costumes every week or so during battle passes, during the tournament, the Battle Hub tournaments and stuff like that. All of that content is really keeping, keep. Now I'm not gonna say keep afloat, but it's really bringing in more. It's bringing in and introducing more players. Now you're seeing that. These what is it, the room servers heard like what 100 something players. Now these rooms are getting filled up with people, and more people are picking up the game, and it's just you don't really run into a lot of you run into someone different all the time. So it's really interesting, and I'm really glad that Capcom has done a really great job with the successful launch of Street Fighter 6, and they that momentum is definitely going to be much needed when it gets a fresh coat of paint, when that year patch happens for season two. But Capcom, Capcom Cup is just 3 months away, where someone is walking home a millionaire just for playing Street Fighter Six. That
Honestly,
is
that's
life
insane.
changing
Like,
funds.
yeah, think about
Yeah.
that grand finals match. Like, you're literally playing for like 500,000 or something in that one set. The pressure is immense. I know some of those guys, it doesn't affect them, but imagine being sat up there knowing that that one set is literally for 500,000. Like, it's incredible.
Mm, 48 players from different regions all over the world would compete, in a week-long celebration event leading up to the finals, man. The last chance qualifier is going to go crazy too as well.
What do you guys think about that?
You know,
The format this year for CPT, because it is a week, like you said, they have to be there for a week. And some of these guys, they got lives, they got families, they got jobs, and they're expected to just take a week off their life to go there. It's a long time, man.
yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, if you obviously live on the West Coast or the area that the whole event is being held in, you
Mm-hmm.
got the advantage for sure. You got the advantage. You could just go home, and then come back the next day, or make arrangements with the schedule or something. And that type of format, and especially if you're really good at the game and you have a really strong chance of making it. And just imagine if you do, you literally you're sacrificing a whole entire week. I'm gonna say I'm not a fan of that format. I wish they would go back to like the 3 days. 3 days would be good. There's still time to do events within 3 days. Like one day, well, that first day could be the last chance qualifier. Second day could be like the team event or whatever event, and then the third day could be like the finals, right? That's why I mean that's would be a good structure. But a whole entire week is, I think that's a bit much.
It's like from a
But
player's
yeah.
perspective, I think it's a bit bad. As a spectator, I think it's probably really good. You get a whole week of Street Fighter like every night. Get to watch some Street Fighter 6, get to watch the LCQ, get to watch teams, groups. you know, you get to see these guys play it every day.
Yeah, their favorite players. I mean, 48 players from different regions, man, just coming in. Like, just let's just talk about the character representation that was used in all of the events for the qualifiers so far. So, a user by the name of Cat Cammy put together a chart from Twitter that showed all the character representation so far. Like everyone who's made it, all the characters who made it for Capcom Cup, and it was what five Lukes, like five Kens, four DJs,
Or JPs or
three
something.
JPs,
Couple of Chuns and
two Chuns
Cammies.
in the
Few
jury,
juries. Yeah, no Lily, no Honda.
one. Yeah, it was and now Blanca with Mena with him qualifying yesterday with Blanca. So he's the only Blanca representative. Wait, did a Cammy qualify? I don't think
I'm
she
sure
did.
there's somebody plays Cammy on the side, and so it was counted.
Okay. Okay,
But
so
yeah,
it's count. Okay.
just
All
before
right,
we
the
move off that, I
secondary.
just want to give a shout out to Mena and Knuckledo because that grand final set yesterday was so hype. It was so hype, and it was so close. Last game, last round. Oh, it doesn't get better than that as a spectator, man, for sure.
That's like watching a real life Dragon Ball match or something, man. That the way they
Hey,
were
for real.
playing and just moving and like it just looks like a completely different game, man. Like when certain players at a really high level use the play the matches, it just looks like a completely different thing. It's like a thousand. It looks like a thousand things are going on at once. Like they have to be so careful about their movement, their placement, like meter management, stuff like that. All this. I mean, I'll jump into that a bit later about the mental aspects of trying to compete in the game, but just for that particular set, I'm pretty sure a lot of people have watched. But if they hadn't, I do recommend going back and watching that finals, man, between Knuckle Doo and Mena RD. It was just insane, man. That was a really good set. Um, but let's dive back into talk about modern controls. You know what I'm saying? We mentioned modern controls a bit earlier, and we're gonna take a revisit. This was a topic that was probably talked about during the beginning of November.
Hey, I
Whereas I
mean,
believe
if
it was
anyone knows about
at
modern controls,
Zephyr.
it's you, right?
Shit. Look, man. It's a controversy, man. It's a controversy controllers control statement, man. And I defend it, man. I gotta defend the modern. I gotta be the voice of the modern people, man. All
Hey,
right.
listen,
Let me
unless you're at the
talk
bar on a
to y'all
Sunday
about that.
playing modern controls for shots, yeah, I don't want to hear about it.
Yeah. Look, man. All right. So I know some people might not be too fond of it, you know what I'm saying? There was even talks about it being banned for tournament. I said, no, that may be a little too excessive. Modern is not as strong as some people may think it is. It's pretty good. I mean, doing jab level 3 is kind of ridiculous, I ain't gonna lie. But you can do that with regular controls too. It's just an execution. It's a motion. But the thing is I think if they didn't balance it where it didn't do damage scaling, then I could see it being in talks for being banned. Because it's like, yo, if I'm doing the exact same damage as classic, then why would I need to go back to classic? When I could just stick to modern. So yeah, just imagine, Lily had the same damage as her regular SPD, or Geef had the same damage as regular SPD or something. Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people would switch, but they do try to balance it with that damage nerf. Um, I don't have an issue with modern controls. I think we're at the point where more people are going to start looking into and experimenting with it. Characters are going to come out. People are going to start experimenting with it. Ed to come out. There's going to be some modern Eds. Even though that's a funny statement to say.
Every Ed a modern Ed,
It's
huh?
going to be there's gonna be modern Eds. There's gonna be modern Akumas. So I think that particular control scheme is more or less just for comfort and accessibility. Like maybe the muscle memory just isn't there, but modern controls, they help out with that. But Ghost, what do you think about that? What do you think about modern controls?
I think, from the casual perspective, I think they're really good. It makes the game really accessible to a lot of people. And, accessibility is a big part of this game. They've got things to help with everything. If you need more sound cues, more audio, or if you need visual aid, like the game's trying to do as much for you as it can. And I think modern controls are a great way to get into the game. But the fact that you can still do the regular inputs is kind of, it makes it better than it should be, And I still don't think it should be tournament banned. I don't necessarily think it's like overpoweringly strong, but there's something about modern controls. It feels a little bit cheap sometimes,
Yeah, you can still do the regular input to get the regular, move. And in the right hands, it will be devastated. And I will say this, I'll make this statement here and now. I would say that there's one day there's going to be a modern player that's going to win a major.
Yeah, I think you're
Mark my
probably right.
words, yeah.
I mean, Haitani, top 6 at Evo, modern champ.
Hatani, is holding it down for the modern trend out there. But I think it's, again, you do limit it. You do have limited access to some of your normal certain route situations. You can't do any more with your character. You lose access to specific normals that you may need in the combos and strings and stuff. So there is some restraint there. But I mean, modern controls are fine, man. I think I think people are gonna just calm down and just be like, all right, it is what it is. They play modern, they play modern. I mean, I get hell for playing modern all the time, so it's and
But for me, the
it is
game
what
is
it
like,
is, man.
the game's easy enough for me that the combos and the execution is very easy. But I
Mm.
say this as somebody that's played fighting games for like 30 years, Obviously, doing motions is easy when you played Super Nintendo Street Fighter 2 when you're in your pajamas. Um, but some people, yeah, they do this still if they come from, say, you come from 3D to 2D and you don't have DP motions or stuff like that. Modern controls helps with that a lot. So again, purely from the accessibility point and what it brings to the game in terms of the player base, I think it's positive overall. The fact that modern controls makes it accessible to absolutely everyone. Even if you're not good at doing motions or you're not sure what controller to play on, you have access to the same moves as everyone else.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
it can
mean,
also be used to
go ahead.
bring in players too as well. Like Retro was mentioning how people at the bar, like, they may not know the inputs and stuff, but that's where modern and dynamic
Mm.
comes into play. They can still do the execution for the moves at the touch of a button, but it feels like, they're accomplishing that goal of saying, oh, man, these motions are kind of difficult for me. I wish it was an easier way to do the moves and stuff. And, well, there's modern for you. But Retro, what you gonna say?
Yeah, I said, yeah. I mean, for DJ Vest for doing the 5v5 when Shadow played Mon Lily, it gave him a headache because the whole time when Shadow was playing with Modern Lily, whoo boy, that man, I thought DJ Vest was gonna have a heart attack.
He was having an aneurysm.
It was how
I loved it, yo. That was such a fun exhibition, man.
that
Was
was.
so fun, man. We gotta get the Rocky 2 schedule for that, man. I know y'all not gonna leave it at no 5.
Oh no. Oh, that was
I
man.
want that run back.
Ghost props to y'all. I mean, we were very confident and ready for y'all guys to take on the crew because we were ready. We were like studying and stuff like that. We were excited. But yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
of course, attaining to the topic though, yeah, because Shadow actually was a Lily player, been classic Lily, and then the first few tournaments switched to modern Lily, and he been preaching about it to everyone in the Discord ever since. He like embraced the modern. Modern is the way, to show you the way, and that's what we kept saying and so forth. And then slowly but surely, a few other players start switching to modern versions of some characters, like Marissa, Manon, maybe Zangief, and whatnot. And you
Don't
start
you have a
seeing.
modern Honda over there too?
I want to say
Modern Honda.
maybe I think so because I know we have one Honda. He was classic for a while. He may have switched. But yeah, there's a few modern. It's slowly growing. It's slowly and for the sake of the people who don't like modern, it's infesting the scene. But yeah, I mean personally, I don't mind it. Like it doesn't matter to me. Like if it's a different way for you to assess the tools and whatnot what you need to do, and it gives you what to do in the easier way, then go for it. I mean, for me being the cocky side or rude side, like I'm gonna still beat you anyway. It ain't gonna matter to me. That's what I'm gonna say. So but the thing is that I welcome it though in a way that if it helps you become work with better execution and so forth. But like you said, Japan even uses it, and at Evo, like I said, we had who was it? It's a Chun-Li player, and I should know who it is. And like it's his
Haitani.
Thank you, Hatani. Chun-Li modern, like right from the get go. You have that player. Use a modern, and like I said, a lot of times, we look up to the Japanese players and so forth. They've been a dominant region in many cases, and like I said, now you see those many of the pro players use modern, so you can't really be like, well, modern is for babies or for casuals and whatnot. No, pro players are taking advantage of it too, and if it helps with them in some execution situations, yeah, I mean. So,
I think it's more the reaction side. Like this game involves really reactive play style to a lot of characters and a lot of matchups. It goes beyond with punishing. You've got to be ready for the jump, the drive rush, the drive impact. There's like so many things on the mental stack, like on your mind when you play. Having to not think about even doing a motion, just if he blinks, if he does this, this is my answer. This is my answer. Having those answers at the touch of a button is so valuable in this game that I can see why some players, are doing really well with it. Because if you play against a modern controls player, the best thing about playing against them is that you don't get away with any nonsense. Like if you try and do bad jumps or make stupid reads or full screen headbutt with Honda, for example, they're always going to react. And so if you learn to play against them, it kind of gets rid of all your bad habits, because eventually, taking a risk is not working. Like it's not worth the risk. And so your risk reward game becomes much tighter, and you make you adjust your reads and you play a lot more calculated, because for sure, like where you think, I'm going to try this guy out, see if he actually can react. When you play someone that is going to react regardless, with the modern controls, they've got that DP touch of a button. You can't get away with anything. You tighten up your gameplay, and I think it can only make you better. Like if you struggle against modern control players, it's you need to look at your own gameplay and work out why, because there's a lot of nerfs for modern controls, but if they have those reactions and that's how they're looking to play, and you don't have the ability to shut that down, then that's on you. So I think if you really want to get good, you learn to beat these players anyway, because that's where you have to play the game.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, because most people when they're playing, they have sort of, I'm not gonna say flow chart. Well, I would say flow chart, sort of like a flow chart offense, especially into the corner. They want to pepper you with buttons and probably like bait into a DI. Get the wall splat and go into the normal combo for there. Now, if they're playing against a modern, because I played some sets. I got a group of guys, a group of people that I played some sets with, and he was saying, he was like, "Oh dang, I forgot you were using monitoring," because he would do his string and then try to like go to DI, and I'm like, "Bro, I have meter, going to press this button, and I'm gonna hit you with super." So I hit him with I hit him with the super. He was like, "Dang, I forgot I can't do that. I can't do it like that no more." So now he has to rethink his strategy. Unless I don't have any meter, he doesn't go for it anymore. So I made him readjust his gameplay, and that's exactly what I think people would need to do if they're playing against a modern player at that particular level, is that you have to be wary about those particular type of reactions because of that. Jaco in the chat mentioned, he said just nerfed the damage for monitor. I said, Jaco, the damage is us already nerfed. The special move damage is already nerfed. Jaco, what you mean?
They want to make it non-existent.
Shout out to Jaco, man.
Yeah, shout out to him though. Shout out to
Jaco Media in the building, man. But yeah, it's balanced pretty well. I do think if they were going to make any adjustments to modern, maybe have it where you can't do special moves. I mean, you can't do normal inputs for other moves and get the normal damage. Or if you do the normal input, well, no, it wouldn't make sense to do it then. I would say just not being able to do normal inputs. Like make it its own unique. You're only allowed to do this move at this particular strength. It would actually nerf modern a bit, but if people are complaining so much about it, then I think that would be the change to it. you know. But for the most part, it's pretty tame. It's nothing too overpowering. It's just that yeah, you do have to be wary in certain situations in your gaps and strings because they can't just bust out with a super at the touch of a button, right? If they see the gap, you do what crouching. You try to do, for example, Camby. You try to do crouching heavy punch or then crouching medium kick. Somebody's gonna see that gap and then punish it with the level one super as a reversal option. So I'm just thinking of a situation where modern controls would be that downside. But other than that, it's pretty tame, man. I don't think it's a real issue with modern controls. I think it's gonna be an issue when more people start
Mm-hmm.
trying it out for themselves. Like if you see more people go in and like experiment and say, "Oh man, modern controls," and then enough people raise a stink about it, then you might see people take action. But I think for the most part, it's pretty tame, man. It's nothing too overpowering about it.
So I only played Modern Controls briefly, and I played Zangief, and I had the best time, man. Walking up to people from full screen and just 720ing them at the touch of a button was I was on the stream and I was crying, just tears of laughter. I was falling out my chair, I was like, it was the best shit. But I still think the tools that he's missing, it's not worth it for him. So he was definitely the most fun, right? But who do you guys think is the strongest character to benefit from modern controls?
Hmm. That is a good question. I think Lily's definitely up there. She's top three for sure. I would.
Yeah, see, I'm with Jacob. I actually think
Mm,
Luke is I think he's probably the strongest modern character.
I would
Yeah.
say. I'd also say Cammy could be up there too as well. She still
Yeah.
has her main conversion from her main route from croucher medium kick. She can still do the heavy string or whatever into level three to get like 5,000 and change. So I mean, having what a one button full screen level three super. Come on, come on,
And the
yo.
fact that it's full
I would
screen as well,
definitely
now
say
that shit's
Cammy.
mad cheap, you're right.
Yeah, like you throw a fireball, you sneeze wrong, you throw out the wrong limb, you could get clipped. But I think Cammy's up there too. I would say Lily, Luke, uh, maybe Marissa, maybe. I have seen Marissa's do some damage in modern, but I think the more unorthodox characters kind of benefit from it because again with the top tiers in this game, they need all their tools to eat. They need all their tools to eat. But if you kind of lighten the load execution wise on like the lesser characters, then you could kind of see them rise up a little bit if we're like strictly just doing a modern based thing. But yeah, those characters I would think. Even no, I would say Manon. Manon is she's missing two very important buttons in her kit with modern, but being able to do one button command throw is you can't beat that. You can't beat that. It is very irritating, to kind of deal with and watch out for, especially when she's close to you, and it kind of makes people like react, like they'll neutral jump, or they'll like jump back or press something to get away, like if you're too close because they know that the throw could be coming. But that's just, I would say she's kind of like in the middle. I would have to actually do like a modern tier list type of deal,
I
and
would love
maybe
to see it.
see. Yeah, yeah. I could whip that up and let you know because I've tried it out a variety of different characters. What I wanted to do was like an experiment where I get every character to diamond in modern, and I've done like 7 characters so far. So I think I'm like almost halfway there. I think I'm gonna do that with the rest of the characters just to experiment how they are. Hell, I even tried out modern sim, and I think it's terrible with modern sim.
Do you
But
think he's the worst
yeah,
modern controls character? Yeah, Sim.
yeah, because he doesn't have really anything it's like damaging. Like his he doesn't do that much damage in his combos, and well, his modern auto combos are not that good. And that's pretty big because like being able to do like a jab confirm into like the auto combo is kind of huge. Kind of need something like that, and especially if you have a target combo. So that's why I say Cammy's like really strong in modern mode too. Appreciate you guys, giving that insight on modern. We'll just see how it develops and how time goes. Later down
Yeah,
the
I'm really
line.
curious
Hopefully,
to see if they make some. When
Yep.
they change the game, like next year, I'll be really curious to see if they make any changes to modern controls or give people access to dynamic in the battle hub or something. Are they going to mix it up a little bit?
Mhm. Yeah, oh yeah. For season two, I definitely think they're gonna do something like really big. I mean, heck, look how long it took for them to give us the Alpha 3 for all the characters. They had to do a special trailer just for costumes. So
Hey,
they
some of them
they
costumes
advertised
look
it as a big
amazing.
event. Yeah, I mean the costumes look really good, but the only thing is like, yo, why they not talking about the price? Like, yo, how much is this gonna, how much it
Hey,
cost?
that's what they get you, bro. $20 for
What's
Ninja
going?
Turtle.
Yeah, they charge that much for a turtle. How much you think they're gonna charge for this hot new Manon costume or something?
Hey, all I'm hoping is I get a
We'll see.
discount if I buy them all.
Yeah, if you get them like on a bundle, the bundle's probably gonna be like what, 39.99 or something. Shit. But yeah, that comes out next week, so I think that'll be like a fresh coat of paint. Give the characters a new look and spice up the game a bit here. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. So moving on. Before we move on to the next topic here, did you guys have any other thoughts about modern mode, or you guys good?
I think we mostly covered everything. I think so anyway.
Cool. Right.
Yeah, if I think about anything
Move
else,
on
I'll
to the
let you
next
know.
one.
Yeah.
So move on to the next one then. So we were talking about. I think I was. I was talking about this with Retro maybe like a few weeks ago about the stop oil movement protest attacks that with the orange paint that the protesters were doing in France. They damaged
It wasn't just in
hundreds
France,
of
it happened
dollars worth of
somewhere else as well, didn't it? Didn't it happen in America somewhere as well?
Paris.
Yeah, but it
Paris.
happened in multiple places. So it happened in France, and I think it happened in America somewhere as well. Or maybe it happened somewhere in Europe
Exactly.
twice. It definitely happened more than once.
Yeah, I think it was a Tekken tournament, then there was a Street Fighter one. Yeah,
Yeah, I think you might be right. Just one
yeah,
was Tekken, yeah,
both were in
one
the
was
EU.
Street Fighter. But it's crazy. We talked about poverty in the FGC. The second these motherfuckers find out we got some money, they're like, yo, where'd you get that money from? Oil? Nah. They target the wrong
I
people,
mean
man.
that
Going to an FGC event is just like so pointless.
it was definitely pointless. Yeah.
So
Calling that attack. I'm gonna call it an attack, I'm
yeah,
being honest. That's I'm gonna call it an attack because in that situation, I mean, anything could have happened, man. People don't really think about things like that until they're actually put into the situation themselves. But it was the Tekken and Street Fighter Six tournaments. During the Street Fighter Six one, it was like during the finals of Men RD and like Chris Wong, like that was to see who was on the Capcom Cup. And funny enough, Men RD he made the dream real by making it the Capcom Cup anyway. Yesterday versus Knuckle in that set. But yeah, those particular type of movements, man, that's especially with event security. I think that's very important to
It's
try to
crazy to me
consider
that they didn't
because
get past security and like they just got up there completely unchallenged. Like if somebody came up to my tournament setup and tried to rub paint on it, I'd be hitting them with the walls of Jericho. They're done. They're done. They are not getting any paint on that screen.
you gotta, because it's like, what do you do? Like people, I mean, they were sitting because everybody was stunned. Nobody was like really reacting to them and doing anything. And I'm
You
like,
can't
bro,
react
they're
though. That's what they
actually
want. If you react,
terrorizing
you're
the
giving them
event.
what they want.
yeah.
They was on that 8 frame delay or something. I don't know what's going on.
I just feel bad for the players, honestly, the people that they affect. Imagine being in the middle of like a grand final set and you've got to fucking wait 20 minutes for them to get taken away and have the monitors changed and everything else. Like it's so shit. Some of these guys played so hard all weekend, traveled, spent a lot of money to be there, and then right when they've got like grand final momentum or whatever, they're in there to have that moment like ruined. It's so messed up.
Yeah, and I think like the thing is that people say that it's coming from the people, like the impostering as like being imposters of the protesting, so they can make people mad at the protesters, the actual protesters for no reason, and try to like discourage them in that sense. Could just basically throw an angry mob at them, and like I said, it's a sad situation. And the fact, like I said, in a way, it doesn't have nothing to do with the gaming scene, but the fact how they decide to invade the gaming scene really kind of like what it does bring attention, and unfortunately unwanted and like really bad attention. But hopefully, like the awareness of what they're trying to do will be we spread it out to where and people will be educated enough to say, okay, they're basically trying to cause a ruckus and do anti-protesting tactics type of thing and that type of stuff. So people will be aware and be like, okay, when they see that happen next time, yeah, just get that reaction, that modern reaction, get them out of here.
It's a weird one, like just the fact that it's FGC, it's like you're not going to get a good audience there, and there's a better way of spreading the message. Look at David Attenborough, like he's trying to do his bit, but he's gone on TV, made all these documentaries, and he's made his moves. These guys are being lazy. They think they can just turn up at a Tekken tournament with a can of spray paint, and they're going to change the world.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, it's just
the people like I'm just trying.
Makes zero sense. I mean, it
really doesn't.
Makes zero sense.
Hey, let me tell you something. If it happens again at an FGC tournament, I better see one of those motherfuckers getting foot dived off the stage or something. If they're not ready after it happened twice, I'll be disappointed. I swear, if I'm ever at an event and that happens, yeah, I'm gonna kick off.
Folks just had dash cancel right before they can move.
I would love to catch someone with some orange paint in their hands about to commit to the FGC terrorism. Oh no, I'll put them on the floor and put the orange paint all over their face. Make them look like a Oompa Loompa.
What?
But like I said, as a
SPD, man, there you go, man.
Yeah, but as a message,
I mean, that's like what do you do in that situation? Like you're just playing and all of a sudden you just see orange paint on your screen. No, you see somebody walking up to you off your peripheral vision.
Yep.
And then next thing you know, you just see orange paint. Like, what is your reaction? No, you would kind of just be like, what the hell is going on?
I just got impacted. What happened?
Who is this person? Yeah, like who is this person? Who? So I mean, I don't know how they got past that like nobody really reacted fast enough. Because it could have been something worse. They could have did something much worse to those people that were up there.
Right.
And you got to take something like that very serious.
What can they do? Because they can't physically, they can try and restrain them a bit, but those people are going to fight back. And if you do anything to them, they're going to, say they were assaulted or blah, blah, blah. Like these people that do these protests, they always know how to turn it round in their favor, using legal loopholes and whatnot. So it's really tough. You just got to hope that you don't mention them and they just go away and go bother somebody else, because the FGC is not the place where they're going to get the message across.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. Like, what do you hope to accomplish at a
have you ever been in a Twitch stream? Have you seen a stream monster before? Like, do you think stream monsters care about oil and orange paint?
No.
Come on, man.
They deliver the wrong messages, man. Like, that's definitely the wrong, the platform too. I'm just it's just weird though, because like they waited that particular time, an event during the finals. They's like, all right, we're just gonna wait till the finals and then we're gonna strike. And it's like, all right.
I kind of hope they enjoyed the rest of the tournament,
Yeah, I mean, at least if they waited to the end, right? That's, I guess. They didn't do it in the beginning or the middle, but
if they were smart, they would have done it during pools. Like they could have got 100 monitors in one go, before anyone stopped them.
Yeah, I mean, I bet you could do is just kick them out of the event, but again, at that time, already damaged the equipment. That could have been the only setup that had, the only TV or maybe the only streaming equipment. The paint could have got on the cable or something and messed it up, and the tournament couldn't finish. That's another thing. But yeah, that whole security thing, I just people have to just be aware of their surroundings, man. Like especially on savory characters, because you never know who the next person is. Especially if you've never met them before, you don't know what their intentions are. So always try to be mindful of your surroundings, man. Especially around people you've never seen before, too, as well. I mean, I'm very observative, so I kind of just watch and sit back and just see how certain people move. And I think that's something everyone should do, because I think that if you watch that clip again, it just takes way too long for somebody to do something. And if it was like a more professional environment, or uh, if it was in a different area, the reaction time would have been like that. So I don't
Again,
know.
I think maybe
Maybe
just
everybody
in
had to.
it's one of those things like in EU, there's no like security or anything, so it's very easy. Like when I went to Combo Breaker, for instance, they checked your bag every time you went in. Like you couldn't have snuck that paint in. You would have had to do something, really spectacular to get in there and do that. I don't know if it's like that with all American majors, but here in the EU, there's no security. There's no, you can just walk in. So it's very easy for them to just infiltrate a venue and do what they want to do.
Mm.
But hey, you know what? At the end
Well,
of the
that's
day, I'm sure the events involved, the events that are involved, they're like insured, and those people probably bought passes to get in, so they funded the FGC a little bit. So shout outs to them.
they contributed to the
Fair.
pot because they had to pay to get in, right?
They must
They
have gone somehow. Yeah, I
spectator
guarantee you, they
fee.
bought that weekend early bird pass.
No, you see anybody with a spray can, you gotta. I don't know. You might have to point them out or something. Like,
Used
why
to
you got
just
the spray can for? What's
used to be cool. Now it's all Kimberly players and oil people.
It used to be cool.
Remember the days of Jet Set Radio? Free playing used to be cool, man.
Bruh.
graffiti, graffiti is a crime, man. Graffiti is a crime.
Oh
But
man.
yeah, let me move on to the next topic here. We was talking about the 1 year patch coming down the line, probably due after Capcom cut, more than likely. Oh no, actually no, I take that back, because what Akuma is what spring?
Yeah, they
Is
said
it
a year,
spring?
didn't they? So
So
I'm assuming it's going to be like when the game come out, June. So I reckon it's probably going to be like May,
I
somewhere
say
around
most
that
likely,
time, where
man.
they actually update the game.
yeah, I can see that around May or June, like the anniversary. They'll probably do like an anniversary stream or something for 1 year, and do like a special presentation, and that's when they do probably like showcase the first season 2 character or something, and then yeah, I don't know. Let me wake up real quick, but yeah, we'll definitely see what happens. Because I do know, yeah, Akuma's in that 2024 spring area there. But Capcom's been like really quick on like addressing the game altering bugs when they get reported, like for the patch. So they've been kind of cleaning up things as they get found out. We had what the Rashid level 2 tornado bug. We had the Jamie stun reset. We had the fireball glitch. Like if a projectile was on the screen, someone does an overdrive move and burnout. They won't go into burnout, which is it's super situational. But yeah, it could be a game check situation. But yeah, they've been really quick on that, man. But I think it's been up to what social media to report all that stuff. Because imagine nobody said nothing and it was all hush hush about the Rashid level 2, and he was announced to be legal. Like what was it, the week or two before Evo? And I imagine
Yeah, it
somebody
was
went into
pretty
that
About
close
over
to Evo.
Rashid.
Yeah,
yeah, week and a half. Yeah.
Yeah.
it's
So
mad.
they've
Like
been
having
really good
Twitter
on
is
addressing that.
it's so funny because having
Mm-hmm.
Twitter, like all these streamers and stuff, all it takes is one of them to post it, and it will get the attention and it will get seen, and someone at Capcom will go, "Oh, we better fix this." And you kind of, as a content creator or like social media presence, you do kind of have that power where if you spot something that's game breaking, they probably will see it because it will do the rounds of the FGC and people will be tagging Capcom, going, Capcom, please sort your game out. And it only takes one of them to see it and go, oh, that I can fix that in 5 minutes, and they will. They'll patch whatever they can as quick as they can. And I think, like you said, they've done a great job with the game since release, fixing the smaller bugs and issues as they've come along. And it's great that FGC is just flashing them out, and anything that people find, it's on Twitter the next day. The Jamie command grab thing that was patched out like instantly, And Jamie players could have kept that to themselves. You know, they'd have been getting away with that for a while. I bet somebody
They could have
has.
saved that for nationals, man.
Yeah, trust me.
That was a
Instead,
$1 million secret. Yeah, somebody switched to Jamie, and then like, yo, why? Then the commentators be wondering, well, yo, why this dude switching to Jamie? It's the finals. Why would he switch to Jamie? Then boom, there it is. That's why he switched, and then you just see a big smile on their face. But since it got reported, the dream got shut down. So Jamie got to go back into the low tier gutter for right now. Yeah, the miracle patch comes, but yeah, things like that. You like, social media influencers, they can definitely take, influence the direction the game is gonna go for as far as its content. I mean, even when they did the Outfit 3 trailer, they was like, oh, we know you guys have been wanting, the costumes, so here they are, here's the trailer for it. So they're monitoring, they got social media people that monitor what goes on in the community. Like, if it raises enough of a stink, then yeah, they'll definitely address it. But for right now, yeah, they've been really good on catching those things there, and I don't know. We'll see what happens. Maybe when that comes out, he may still have his V Trigger one from Street Fighter Five, and he throws out the ball, and somebody finds out a way to keep it on the screen for much longer or something.
I bet that's
Or
going to be a
Akuma
thing for
can,
sure. Yeah, I can see that.
yeah, and then Akuma can like teleport and prevent himself from getting burned out or something like that. Something wild. But yeah, those are just certain situational things. But yeah, communities, you have to be open on communication. That's how it works, man. That's how it works. Communities make the dream come true.
Yeah,
But
I mean, most
yeah,
of
we was
it's good,
talking.
Most of that stuff's good,
Mhm.
but at the same time, I like broken stuff in fighting games, and sometimes I feel like they're a bit too quick. Some of the best fighting games in the world have only 6 characters that people play out of 40, or have broken infinites and other mad stuff going on. And it's part of fighting games is that eventually it just gets left and people find the broken stuff. And I feel like with the current gen of fighting games, unless you play Mortal Kombat, you're just not going to get that kind of experience anymore. They clean it up
Mm,
so fast. It's one of the
see,
reasons I
see,
like 4 so much over like 5 and 6 and other games is because, all the proximity normals and all the weird situations, like nothing's ever set in stone because weird shit can happen and does happen constantly. Weird interactions you've never seen before, moves trading that you've never seen. Whereas now the game's designed in such a way where you already know exactly what's going to happen. This trade's going to lead to this is going to lead to that. Like it's all just lined up. No variables. So sometimes I feel like
so
they
you,
should just
you
let it rock just a little bit longer.
you want the dirt? You want them to keep the? You say you want them to keep the dirt in just for a little longer.
Yeah, some of it
Just for a
at
little.
least.
Yeah. 'Cause that's how Marvel was, right? I think Marvel was due for like Ultimate Marvel was due for like one more big patch, right? And then it just never happened.
It's what it probably needed, but they would have changed so much about the game. I don't think people would enjoy it as much as they do.
Uh, um. Okay. Yeah, I remember that was the thing back then. Like there was supposed to have been one more patch for Marvel, and then it just never happened.
Yeah, I
But
think
yeah,
they
those
lost the
types of
rights,
yeah,
didn't they, to the characters to Disney? So once that happened, they couldn't change the
hmm
game.
rip. It was rip on that. Yeah, we were talking
Hmm.
earlier there about the Knuckle Dew and Mena finals from the US East World Warrior finals. That was intense. Like the game, it looks like I said, it looks so much different when it's played like at a high level. Like it's definitely mentally draining, right? There's a lot going on. Like
But
all
it's
your
different,
senses
right?
have to
It's
be
a it's a
like
different game when
it's
you watch it at
different,
that
man.
level, and that's why I think at that level, when you really see the game at its maximum, that's when you see how good of a job they've done because everything is fairly balanced and the mechanics are good. They're interesting. There's a lot of back and forth, and at the highest level, people aren't just abusing stuff; they're adapting and figuring out what their opponent's doing. And some of the counter plays and some of the mind games that you see over like a best of 5 set in these tournaments is incredible at that level. I've seen players this month doing stuff I've never even seen, force knockdown combos, parrying fireballs from block strings into punish at close range, like just mad stuff. People have got so optimal that when you watch it at that high level, it's a different game. It's not the drive impact, drive rush, crazy game that you play in ranked match or in the battle hub. It's like it feels like real Street Fighter.
Like all your senses have to be in tune and locked into the match to reach that level, right? Like it requires a different level of focus, like the meter management, the anti-airs, the text, the parries. Like you have to train your mind at all times. I mean, you have to train your mind to play at that level. Like most people play it at a basic level, like you said, like just drive rush, drive impact, do their basic combo here and there, get their 60, the 60, 70% or whatever. But what separates the tiers of different players, just in my opinion, is going beyond that. Like with punishing like normals, or like knowing exactly the right correct spacing to press a button to get the counter hit juggle, or like you said, the force knockdown situations. A lot of people may not be familiar with the force knockdown mechanic in the game. The purple, the little purple sign that comes up, and they realize that yeah, you can get a juggle, you can get a juggle off of that hit into something, but people might not know what their character can do in that situation, so they just let them fall down and they may be missing out on damage, match changing damage. So it's certain little things like that you got to look out for. That I'm actually gonna actually lab that for myself, there has been situations where I've seen the force knockdown, but I'm like, damn, I wonder what I can get off of this. Like, can I do this move? Can I do that move? But I don't do anything. I just let them, get into their fall state and just let them recover. So I think we gotta you have to capitalize a little bit more on those situations, to get that particular damage. But what do you guys think about that? Like, do you think that this game is like a little bit too mentally taxing, or is it just that it just takes more time to like get to that particular type of level, like the CPT playoff type level? What you think, Retro?
Like for the like being the game being like mentally taxing.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
yeah, 'cause I feel like there's a lot that goes on in this game,
Yep. Yep.
and
It is.
it kind of hits people. It's like people kind of hit the wall, or like hit the ceiling, or it just they feel like they can't go any further because they're stuck at
Y-
this particular level. And in order to break through the ceiling and break through the barrier to get to the next level, they have to, I guess, be in tune with everything. So
it
do you
is.
do you think that this game is more the most mentally demanding
I
that you played for Street Fighter?
I
What
wouldn't
you think?
I wouldn't argue. Yeah, I wouldn't argue against that. That it is because yeah, it's a lot. But I mean, I say from personal perspective. Okay, objectively, subjectively, it's a lot, and it can be taxing, and but I like that for a reason because it makes you think of have to make you think of many ways to approach a scenario or a situation. Because to me, the way I think about it, I think about it like a different way to solve a math problem. There's more than one way to solve it. In this case, yeah, you have because the thing is, the other thing that some people said, and I discussed it with some people in a chat or two. The game is more system mechanic reliant versus the character, because the idea is that you now have like no, there's characters going to be good regardless, but in general, but the way you deal with the situation, deal with the character, whatnot, you now have options. You have multiple offensive options and multiple defensive options. If you're getting pressure and so forth, you think about, okay, could I parry, drive reversal, keep blocking, or drive impact out of it or whatever. So and then same time, if you wanted to approach someone, can I drive rush? Could I just normal dash? Can I use this character special dash, command dash if they have one? Can I jump in? Can I do whatever? And then same time, you got to think about, well, what if the person can anti-air, parry, or do a counter move, or this and this and this? Then what's the solution to those things? And then what's the counter to those things? And then counter to that. Yeah. So that it's a lot. You can think about it, and I'm not gonna argue about it. But I like it because to me, it shows there's more than one way to approach a problem. and it's like no, and it brings out individuality as a result of it. Because but the thing is, yeah, it's a lot to think about because some people, they like, well, how can I do this, and it could freeze up, and they can freeze up and like freak out and about what to do, and that happened to me in many cases when defending myself, and I will have full meter, and normally I like to parry, but then it's like, what is that person trying to throw or command throw? Well, this character has this move to trap me, frame trap me, and this. What can I do then? So it really adds a lot of like it adds a lot of more complex of it. But I like it, but I will have pity on those who I pity the like I feel for those who don't like the idea of having too much to go on. It is a lot. It is a lot. Personally, I like it though, but at the same time, yeah, I agree it's a lot.
It's the difference, I think, at the highest level. The reason the game's different is because all the little gaps and all the frame data, all the
Right.
frame data, depending on drive rush normals, all the good players, they've labbed that shit. You can see they've labbed all those situations. And, people will say sometimes in this game, you're kind of guessing. And in a few spots, you do have to sometimes, make an educated read or a guess. But the pro players, all these good players, they know every gap, they know every block string, they've seen the other person play, like they've got all the data. So then, really, all they're using their mental fortitude for is reactions and reads on defense. And so suddenly, the game's a lot cleaner because no one gets away with anything. So people take less risks and do less stuff that's not real. So suddenly the game slows down a little bit because they both respect the knowledge of the other player.
Mm-hmm.
And so you don't really see those crazy scrambly moments too often at the high level, or people trying to force or impose themselves because they know they can be parried. It's not a block string. The opponent knows that. And so every time you press a button, it's a risk. So suddenly everyone tries to keep it as airtight as possible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it comes to become a real game of chess, like legitimately. Like literally, like you have so many pieces because of the game's mechanics and system, how it operates now. Where opposed to maybe Street Fighter V, it was limited in some ways because, like I said, some of the defense mechanics, especially, got nerfed or removed, and so it was more straightforward of what you can do. A bit of a little flow chart. I mean, you still can think about some, multiple ideas and multiple approaches and ways to scenario, but not as much as Street Fighter 6. Because, like I said, you have now more options to do things. That adds to more solutions, but technically can be more problems to figure out how to solve it.
But again, they have to think about those things less. So even though there's more problems to solve, you see you're more likely to see the same problems. Like it's like Tekken's a good example. Like at low level Tekken, people use strings and they do stuff that's very, very punishable or very abusable, and people just don't know. And whereas if you watch Tekken at the highest level, it becomes the lowest commitment fighting game out there because nobody wants to throw out any of these strings that are launch punishable or anything. It becomes a low commitment game. And that's how a lot of these guys are approaching Street Fighter 6 now. They're really trying to just play purely a reactive game with punishing, really, beyond the drive rush mix up with grab. They're playing it very safe, always trying to, take the plus frames and then go back to neutral as soon as it becomes nonsense. Like you never get involved in a scramble in this game. It's never beneficial to anybody.
Oh no,
that's
definitely.
why I enjoy watching the game at such a good level because it's so clean.
And there's so many speeds to play the game too at as well. Like you have the more aggressive types that will immediately. I mean, I've actually watched this happen live. Like I've watched somebody go into burnout 3 times, and let me ask y'all this then. So somebody went out into burnout 3 times in a match. Do you think they won that round or lost that round?
I mean, they could have won. I'm gonna say they lost on this occasion though.
That's it.
They lost. They lost this. No, this particular person won the round.
I won't say won.
Burned themselves 3 times. Burned himself out 3 times. one around because they
Yeah.
went out and burned out like in the first 10 seconds of the match.
Mm-hmm.
It's like pressing buttons, drive rushing, canceling normals and stuff, just to do all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess it put the fear of God into the other opponent because they wasn't doing anything. They were just sitting there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they just kept held in the string. I mean, there's a couple of things they could have done. People I've seen people immediately, instantly react with command grabs. Like if they try to drive rush, Lily's a perfect example. You try to drive rush at her, and if you get the read, you get in the command grab. So that's just one of the things where I was saying as far as like the mental stack. Like some people they go in like some that's just how they play. Like they have a very aggressive play style. It's like they establish their will, and if it doesn't work at this certain level, they're not gonna go too far. Like they're able to beat like your basic low level and mid players, but that's the glass ceiling that they hit. Like they can only compete at a particular level, and those are the players that are getting there, get the top eights here and there, constantly getting top eights, constantly. They're not winning the tournaments, but they're constantly making placements. But those particular type of players, when they go in, they have a certain game plan that they're going to run, and unless you know how to, like, if you don't know how to stop it, they're going to take full advantage of it because you don't know how to deal with it. You have to show your opponent that you can't, like, hey, you can't be doing this. Like, you're not. This isn't. It's not your turn. Like, you can't just keep doing this. And once you stop it, then they have to go back to the drawing board, and they have to figure out, all right, this is not working. What else I'm gonna do? What else can I throw at them? Like, there's no way on God's earth that somebody should win a round after going in the burnout 3 times. That's not. It should not be a thing, but it is. It's happened.
Yeah, I mean, I
I
think.
don't. I can't explain it.
I mean,
Can't
also,
explain it, yeah.
I think that's where probably where the character knowledge comes in, because some characters don't care about being burnt out because they still got tools in their own moveset already, so can do whatever. Like it won't matter to an extent. So that's where part of the character knowledge of things and reliance can play a role. But yeah, as far as the mechanic goes, like yeah, you wouldn't think that. Hey, I'm burning out so many times. Well, you can't. You shouldn't be able to defend yourself. You shouldn't be able to do this. You should be in trouble. Why is that not? Why is that possible? That you can still win or do well or make it out. But I like it because it's where it's not just like I said, it's so much. Like I said, okay, yeah, you have knowledge of the game and mechanics and all this stuff. You can risk yourself in so many situations, but then there's more to it still, to the extent with the character or whatever else. And like I said, how you use the strategy. I'm gonna go crazy. I'm gonna go kamikaze, burn out all my resources. My cards are all on the table. What we gonna do about it? And it could be like a scare tactic, like you said. But if it works, and it works. And at the same time, if the person adapts to it, it'd be like, oh, that's what you gonna try to do. Well, I know how to deal with it. Well, the solution.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there's no fear. There's literally no fear, no fear in that type of player's eyes, like to just play that type of style. But it worked for them in that situation. But again, that's not going to work on everybody. That
No,
there's
but they're
gonna, I
still
mean, they're
they're
going to
some of the
run into
scariest
it.
people to fight. They're the scariest people because you
Mm-hmm.
don't know what they're gonna do, and sometimes they don't know what they're gonna do, but they're gonna go in, and if you don't deal with it fast, they're gonna ruin you. They're gonna overwhelm you. And like you said, they're not the people out here
Mm-hmm.
winning the tournaments, but they're the scariest people to fight because you just don't know. You sit down and they're playing at 150% out the gate. You're like, didn't even get to make a read or play some nooch because this guy was just oppressing me. And this game, it rewards that kind of play style. If your opponent's not ready for it, you can overwhelm someone so fast.
Mm. And then most naturally, you would think that okay, if you're in burnout, you would just play defensively. I was like, okay, if I know I get their plus frames. It's even more what plus floor now on their buttons and stuff. I have to respect whatever they're doing. I'm just gonna sit here and block. Hopefully my gauge can get back up in time. Now I'm in a corner. Now I have to guess for my life if they're gonna just try to derive impact and I die. And it's just things, it's things like that that you gotta try to be aware. Because when you're in burnout, you have to fight back, or you're gonna get you're gonna lose, bro. You're gonna lose. Like you get put into the corner and you're in burnout, your back is against the wall. It's a lot.
It's
You're stuck.
GG's, especially if
You
you got
are
no super
literally,
bars,
yeah,
well,
it's
no drive
GG's.
gauge. Shake my hand. It's one of the
Take my
things
hand,
that I've
man.
tried to have like an approach to
Mm.
the game is that I'll only ever burn myself out if I think I can kill someone, or if I still have a
Right.
one bar for a reversal super, just in case you get into that situation. But some characters that don't have an invincible level one, they don't have anything to wake up with. So burning out, it can be a death sentence in some matchups because you literally can't defend yourself.
Hmm.
That's why
Yeah,
you've got to be the
it's
aggressor.
just
When you burn yourself out, you've got to play with intent after that. You've got to go in, get the drive gauge back as fast as possible, never be on the back foot where you could be at the wall getting wall splatted, stun comboed.
yeah. That'll be break it down from the Mena and Knuckle do match from yesterday. Knuckle, it was the last game, last round, and Mena put Knuckle do in a checkmate situation just because he was blocking.
Yeah, and Mena
He
should have
was
been
just
burnt
trying to
out,
hold
and he,
back. He
he
was trying to
took the
defend
hit.
himself.
He literally took the hit so that he could save half a drive gauge, so that when he got the hit, he didn't burn out. And then it was so clinical. Honestly, it was insane. And yeah, it goes to show as soon as Knuckle was burned out, he had like 40% life, and you already knew the game was over.
What? How's that? How's that a thing? How's that a tell of the tape? Like, bro, he has.
Mm.
It's like he has 45% of his health left. He lost. I'm like, huh? How? How's that a thing? But it is the thing. It's real, man. It's like if you're in a burnout situation, you have no resources to try to defend it. You don't have anything, no meter.
No,
So
it's
you're
as
blocked. You
important as your
take plus
life bar.
frames. Yo, it's a lot, man. It's a lot to manage. It is definitely a lot to manage at certain levels. Like everybody has a plan until they get hit or until they get drive impacted. All right, I'll say that. Everyone definitely has a plan because you if you're in burnout, you want to try to hold the middle ground. You know that if you'll get put at a big disadvantage if you get put into the corner. That's what a lot of players want to do is they want to push their opponent to that corner, and you're either going to try to jump out or you're going to try to do something to you're trying to press a button. It's a risk, but that button could get your opponent off of you. But again, it's just a lot of things that are going on mental wise when you're trying to play the game at a particular level. So I think it's very interesting. I think what it is like there may be a lot of discourse in regards to how people are dealing with the game at its current state versus how people are looking at Street Fighter Five. So on earlier on my Twitter, I was talking about we're gonna discuss which is better, sweet potato pie or what was it, pumpkin pie, sweet potato pie, and this is what I was talking about: Street Fighter Five and Street Fighter Six. Now, which one is which is going to be up to you, but we're going to discuss that right now on how people or players are feeling. I'm starting to see like a mixed divide between, I believe it or not, I've seen some posts saying that people might be missing some five, and they don't like six, and they want to play five again, and vice versa, and it's kind of interesting. I just been sitting back watching. I just been observing. I'm like, all right, I want to say my two piece. Well, no, I did. I said play what you like, but I think what it is people are just like they're not. I don't feel like they're comfortable or they haven't found their groove in this game yet, and their program, their muscle memory is still there from five, from Street Fighter Five. So that's what I'm seeing meant by pumpkin pie and sweet potato pie. Like both of these games are in that weird area, that weird gray area at the moment. Ghost, I don't know if you may have seen. Of course, obviously, you haven't seen nobody talk about that. But just to double check though, have you seen someone mention that they want to play five again?
So yeah, I was having this conversation today actually because I saw some of my, some people that I know from my stream. I met up with them today, and we were talking about it. And there's no way that there's somebody out there that's gonna do what me and Vest have done for 4. There's no way somebody's that passionate about 5 that they're going to run a community for 3 years. It's just not going to happen. There might be people saying, "Oh, I miss 5," but they're not going to do anything about it. That's the problem. You might have a few people complaining, but the difference between the two games is night and day. I knew Street Fighter 5 was terrible by the end of the beta. As soon as the game came out, I dropped it instantly. I'm still playing Street Fighter 6 and loving it after 6 months. They've done nothing but good work. 5 was acceptable at the end, but I say accept like it was passable, but it's the worst game in the franchise. And I think all the Street Fighter 5 talk's going to go away by the time we get season 2 or an update, and nobody's ever going to bring that game back like we did for Street Fighter 4. I just don't believe anyone loves that game enough, even if they say they do.
All right. All right. I know y'all know that I know there are gonna be some people that's gonna listen to this, and listen to the archive a bit later. You heard what Ghost said, right? If you really enjoy the game for what it is, run an event for it. You want to play Street Fighter 5?
I'm trying to
Want
inspire
to
you.
host
I'm
a
not trying to
tournament?
shit talk. I'm trying to get you to go, yeah,
No.
maybe I will, and you should. If you enjoy the game, you can build a community. It's hard work. You got to really love the game, and you got
Yeah.
to go out looking for those people that love the game too.
Mm. Somebody would have to actually put together an event. Somebody would have to actually stream it. Someone would actually have to find commentary. I mean, it's a lot to go. It's a lot. It's going to be a lot, but they have to build the community. The same way you invest in Jacob, the same way y'all did. You guys build communities, and you run the games. I mean, look at Jacob. Jacob's a huge supporter of what Marvel Infinite, and he streams the game. He participates in events that are held for it and stuff. He posts about it on his social media. He's actually actively doing something for something he enjoys,
Yeah, and
and
that's what
we're
I did
not
with
seeing
4 for
that.
years,
Yeah.
And it's got to be like that. If you want
Hmm.
to have your game be successful, you got to do it. I used to fill my house. I used to have 20 people in my kitchen on 2 setups playing Street Fighter 4, and everyone was happy. Happy to wait their turn, happy to watch, happy to talk with the other players. But even before the stream, this is just what we did. We brought people together to play the games they enjoyed. And I'd love to see, somebody do that for 5 in the future or for any game they enjoy. I really would. But trust me, the amount of dedication and time that goes into something like this, it's not for everybody.
Mm.
And I'm telling you, I would
Mm.
love to see somebody prove me wrong in the Street Fighter 5 community, but I just don't think anyone's got that amount of commitment to Street Fighter 5. In a year, 6 is going to be so good once they've got 6 new characters. The netcode's already amazing. We've got all this money, we've got all these streams, all these events,
Hmm.
and like
And that's when it's really going to take off.
yes,
Mm.
it's going to be Street Fighter 5 is going to be done after that. But I'm invested in 6. I've played it for months. I love it. But I'm still doing Street Fighter 4 stuff. I'm still running a monthly tournament. I'm still doing this. I'm still doing that because I know
Mhm.
that if I don't, maybe nobody will. And I still love that game. And just because I like 6, it doesn't mean that one has to die or that I have to enjoy one more than the other or I can't play both. I played all sorts
Mhm.
of fighting games over the course of my life. And constantly people, as soon as I turn off Street Fighter 6, people come in the chat like, "Oh, have you quit 6? Are you bored of the game?" And then people come in the next day like, "Oh, when's Street Fighter 4?" It's like even people don't know what they want.
So it's in a weird, like I said, weird spot. It's definitely in a weird spot right now. But again, when I do think once that big patch hits, once season 2 takes off, once we get more content and stuff like that, I definitely think all of those complaints may go down the drain because it's some players they may not be too fond of 6 at the moment, um, but they'll definitely come back at least for that patch to try the game again. Because I think they definitely gonna. I feel like it's gonna be a dramatic change
Yeah, me
into the
too.
entire. I feel like it's gonna be a dramatic change into the entire engine. They're gonna rebalance a lot of things, rework a lot of things, and that's why it's taking this long. Every character is gonna get something eventually. Maybe getting some new stuff too as well. That's always
Yeah, you
exciting.
never know.
So
Yeah, they might
it
see
feels
some
like a
new
fresh
moves,
coat
new
of paint.
mechanics. Look, they added what was it called?
Yeah.
Drive. What's it called in Street Fighter 5? V Shift. Look how late they
Yeah,
added
V
that
shift.
into the
Yeah,
game. Like,
they V
yeah.
shift earlier years. They added in white life, gray life or whatever. So it's just those particular types of changes can overall affect the entire game. So I
Yeah, but
definitely
they're
do
big,
think
like you
Street
said,
Fighter
they're
Six
big
is going
changes.
down that road.
They're game changing changes, right? And the game
Mhm.
needs time to be flashed out before you know if those changes are necessary or if those changes will change the meta drastically, significantly. So they, never rush something like that. If it takes them a year to update their game, fine, because you know they've got a year's worth of data. Then they're going to update the game the right way, and they're going to do the right stuff. And you know me, you know how I feel about Street Fighter Five, the Forbidden Game. Um, but they got it wrong from day one. Beyond some great character design, mostly Zeku, G, Manat. There's like some really cool characters in that game. They're just in the wrong game. But beyond that, I just feel like the game. Well, we call it a Forbidden Game for a reason. I'll keep my potty mouth clean. But you guys know how I feel, right? And people are saying that 6 is similar to 5, and I think it is in a lot of ways.
Oh my gosh! Whoa! Oh no!
But
You gotta explain that one to me. Explain that one.
who's breaking up?
Six
You're
is
breaking
similar to
up.
5. For me, I'm breaking up.
You were breaking up, yeah. So right now.
Me? Oh,
Yeah, like six is already better than 5 could have ever been. And it's good they've learned from it, basically, from the Forbidden Game. But yeah, that game is ass. And prove me wrong, guys. Somebody out there listening to this, please prove me wrong. Start Street Fighter 5 community, run a tournament. I'll enter it.
oh yeah, you gotta show them. You gotta show. Yo, actions speak louder than words.
Yeah, I forgot you.
Yeah, that's it. You gotta look, man. Somebody out there is gonna have to take the reins. Run a tournament. Create a match arena, throw a pop bonus or whatever. You gotta put energy into your project. If advertise your tournament. Hey, if people want to play Street Fighter, come enter, sign up at this event, and it happens. You just got to build the community from there. But don't air out your grievances and don't do nothing about it. If you're not gonna do nothing about it,
That's exactly it. You got
what's
to
the
do
point?
something. It's why it's kind of sad
Yeah,
now. I see the discussion happening on Twitter, and I don't get involved talking to people because I just,
yeah.
it's
I
a,
don't. I don't stay away from it.
it's endless, right?
It's
But just people talk about how Street Fighter 4 has been dead, and they have no idea about what we've been doing and all the hype streams, and the fact that we run multiple offline tournaments, 64-man bracket, 92-man bracket. We've been keeping the game going. Suddenly they think the game's been irrelevant for years, and I'm like, I could go in there and tell them, blah blah blah, but I don't need that gratification from other people. I know for the people I ran the game for, and the people that watch my stream, it was for them, people that actually like the game. And so when people are like, oh yeah, this and that, 4's this, 5's that, I'm just like, well, it doesn't sound like you played either. And if you really like one of them, do something about it. That's why I'm sat here now talking to you guys today, because I decided I love Street Fighter 4. I had an opportunity to stream. The community's been very kind to me, and I wanted to give as much of that back as possible, So we ran it for years. And I'm hoping 6 is going to be the same. People are going to enjoy the game, and I can continue to stream it for a long time because I think it's a great game with a lot of potential.
If only others had that same had that same view. But of course, not everybody's gonna think the same, and everyone may have their different tropes, gropes and gripes about the game here. But yeah, this it's just been nonstop of I'm starting to just see that pop up more on the timeline. With I'm even thinking about just considering muting the Street Fighter 5 versus Street Fighter 6 Discord crap, because
Hey, well, just mute
it's
Street Fighter
just it's
5 off
just
your
ridiculous.
timeline. That's what I do. It's even banned in my chat. You
Oh
can't say the Forbidden Game. Best way.
yeah, it's called a forbidden game for a reason. Oh my gosh, but yeah, man, we'll see how it goes. I think it'll definitely pick up. Business will pick up, especially after Capcom Cup. I do think they'll do a lot of content getting released prior to and before. I mean, release probably like a week or so before, and then like they'll do something big afterwards, and we'll just see how it goes. But yeah, outside of that, retro, how do you feel about the whole Street Fighter 5 versus Street Fighter 6 thing going?
Look, if y'all like Street Fighter 5 and like it so much, go back and play it. I'm done with that game. As much as the only reason, because the game was good at the very end. It shouldn't have taken 7 years for it to make it be fun. It shouldn't take that long.
The final version was like not bad, right? It's not a bad fighting game at all.
Right, and because I will tell you straight up, my scene, they actually loathed playing that game for the longest time. And like I said, and people might have that, it might give a little ammo to their argument. The fact we were still playing that game and running tournaments for it, even though we didn't like it. And it's like, well, of course, it's Street Fighter, but then at the same time, it's just that, oh my gosh. Yeah. If I like Street Fighter 6, I'm going to say Street Fighter 5, so many reasons it could have been better. So many reasons why it didn't go the ways we expected to. And like the people who want to go back to that game, no one's stopping you. Like, we're not going to stop you. I'm good, fine, go back. I just thank you for giving me a chance to have a closer chance to get $1 million. That's one less person.
I like it. I'll say one more thing about 5 before
go for it.
I move off the subject, right? Is that our local, no one entered this game, people would turn up, and we didn't even like the game, and we'd enter just to make sure they had a tournament, put in my money, whatever, my buy-in, just to make sure that the guys that traveled got to play the game they enjoyed, even if they just played against 4 people, we made sure they got a tournament. Street Fighter 4, when I ran it at locals, alongside Street Fighter 5 and Tekken 7 and the other current games, we were still on a good day, we'd get more entrants than all of them, And it was the fact that we were there that made Street Fighter 5 happen at all. And so that was when the game was in the best time of the game's life, and we couldn't even go to a local tournament. So, I don't see people going back and showing this game any love beyond some nostalgia. There's probably like 3 people playing ranked still because they can't move on with their lives. And that's where the game's going to end. And good riddance, if you ask me.
Unfortunately, they take that last.
Now get it out of here. Hey,
no comment from here.
I'll just take 2 minutes, guys. I'll be right back, all right?
All right, do you think? But yeah, I mean, it took the last year.
What you guys think about 5 though?
Yeah, it took that last year for things to start cooking for the game, but I think that's when the reins got handed over to a different developer.
Yeah.
During the last year of 5, and that's when it kind of like people was like, oh yeah, this plays much better now.
Yeah.
Because a different team took over, but it was already too late. It was too late. The damage had already been done. People were already fed up. They already uninstalled or like sold the game or whatever. But I do think the last 2 years of 5 were pretty good. I will say like as a game, but again. Outside of just nostalgia reasons for playing it, I mean, if you guys really want that event, if you guys really want a Street Fighter 5 tournament, you got to work for it.
Yeah.
You got to host it. You got to ask about it, man. See if you can get, if somebody, if you want a tournament so bad, you might have to run the one yourself. So the complaints on Twitter, I mean, I just hate seeing them, man. Like, there's no action being done. Like, it's just nothing but complaints. Like, stop that, bro. Like, that's annoying.
Like, I saw.
If you want to play it, nothing's stopping you from turning the game on and playing it.
Yeah, because you see it in our chat, our group chat. I was debating with the guys there about the game because people were like, "Well, Street Fighter 6 has this problem, this problem, and I don't like this. Street Fighter 5 was like this." I'm like, "You want to go back to?" And I was like, literally like, "Y'all want to go back to a game where basically." They had little to no defense options. They nerfed, like, the V reversal wasn't that great to begin with. Like, even with the final version of the game, it still wasn't as fun ultimately. I mean, granted, yes, I played a character that abused the hell out of the V trigger system, and that was G. And the thing is, because I like the character's personality and charisma and everything. That character had more personality, charisma, and everything in development better than the game itself. I'm going to say that. That's my little hot take. There were more characters that had better development and better characteristics than the actual game itself. It was, and I'm like, yeah. and I'm like, people are like, man, Street Fighter don't have this. Streets don't have that. I'm like, one, like I said, like I said it before, the game just came out, and they're like, yeah, well, the beta. I'm like, no, the beta was a beta. That changed dramatically over time. No, it had some of the core stuff that may have remained in the final version, but still, the game just released out to the public, and then like the game is now what, about 6 years old. That game has plenty of time. Like the thing was, if Street Fighter Five had 7 years and all that time to get better to a certain point, whatever, and everybody like to enjoy it, don't you think that Street Fighter Six should have some time? Y'all should give it more time too. Street Fighter Five has 7 years. Street Fighter Six has 6 months. You can't just judge that immediately. The difference.
I can tell you one's better than the other.
Yeah, please all do. I yield to you. Because like,
you know what, really, yeah, you should play what you enjoy. If you like five,
right,
you should play it. I'll play four with the same 10 people forever and be happy.
Like,
because I love that game. Same with Marvel.
Right.
Marvel 3.
And I'm saying this to y'all guys. I don't like 4. I like Street Fighter 3. I like Super Turbo. But I don't go around be like,
except for 5,
right. And I'm like, hey, no, I don't be like, hey, Untamed Gaming, why you guys playing this old game? Why you guys like the Vortex? Why you guys like the FCD cancel and all that type of stuff? And then this character can loop this and that, and you can't get out of it. It's unblockable setup, or this infinite loop, or you can take this and do that. Why the Buki has this? Why the guy does this? Oh, DiCaprio does blah blah blah. Like, I don't go all on my way to push down a game that I don't care much about. Like, if you don't like the game, you don't like the game. I mean, you can have your points of why you don't like the game, but you can't just push people to leave one game because you don't like it and try to play whatever you want. And the thing is, because that's the thing. Because it was not only that, there were people that want to force others to play the game that they play. And that was the thing that really was bothersome to me, too, was that. But yeah, I mean, play what you want to play, like you said. And
it's the effort as well, Retro. The effort some people go to like down talk somebody or somebody's game, or just have something negative to say. If they put half of that energy into playing the game they enjoyed, they'd probably be quite good at it, and they probably have a nice little community. But instead, they'd rather spend their time on social media, like trash talking something.
And to them, I say, go ahead. And to them, I say, once again, thank you for me giving a better chance to win $1 million. Have a good day.
And Joe, play what you enjoy, man. Play what you enjoy. If you again, go set it. Retro set it. Just play what you like, man. If you really want tournaments, Street Fighter Five tournaments to happen, run the community for it. Build the community from the ground up. Gather a group of people who, with like-minded, who are interested in looking for a tournament and host it or run one, or talk to somebody who has streaming capabilities and can, gather commentators and, can organize matcherinos and stuff. It's gonna take work, man. It will take work to build from the ground up. It'll start slow, but eventually over time, you just keep working at it and you'll build into something great. I mean, again, look at Ghost, look at Vest, look at Jaco. These guys, look at Retro. These guys have been working hard and building in their communities for years and years. It's not going to come overnight. It's going to take some time to make that happen. But somebody has to do it. That's the thing.
Yeah, and
Somebody
look at all
has
the
to
friends
do
we
it.
made. Like, look at all the friends we've made in the last 2 or 3 years. I could go to like half of the states in America and have a place to stay and food and some Street Fighter, purely because we started a community a couple of years ago with nothing but love for the game.
Hmm.
And it's insane. They're like, some of the friends I made from this era of Street Fighter 4 will probably be friends for the rest of my life.
Yeah,
Hey, shouts
irreplaceable,
to
man.
Buffy. Thanks for hanging in there, yo.
Yeah, definitely replaceable, man. You can't put a price on it, man. This is so many memories, so many people you've known for over 10 years, and for years and years and years, and you've met them all just by playing and pressing some buttons. So that's you can't put a price tag on that, those memories, man. So I'll go move on to the next topic. We got two more before we wrap it up. Here for this evening. Again, thank you, Ghost, so much for
Hey,
joining
my
us.
pleasure, man. It's been great to talk to you
You know
guys.
what I'm saying? For sure, man. So name three things you currently like and dislike, if there are any dislikes about Street Fighter Six. I guess
All
I'll
right.
start first. I'll go
Okay, you
just
go.
get mine out the way. Yeah. So for the three things I like, I like the community involvement. I like that we got a new Street Fighter. You know, it could have been another year of Street Fighter Five, and people would have been even more fed up than they are now. I like the cross promotions and the collabs and the content, for the Battle Hub and the avatars and stuff. The Chipotle advertisement, Street Fighter Six cross KOF All Stars, and all of that. I know it's not actually on the game itself, but I like the fact that there's so much involvement with getting people to come in to play the game, and that's how people get introduced to it. Just because of, again, Battle Hub is a huge, very important feature for this game to have. And I will say that if it did not have that feature, I'm uncertain if six would have the numbers it's at now. That's kind of unclear. I mean, it's still a good game. You still have your dedicated, your hardcore specialists, your people wanting to play the game and whatnot. But again, Battle Hub is too important to the game at this moment, and it's bringing in a lot of players just off of a casual aspect. So I do like those, like that Capcom put that feature in for the game. So three dislikes I would say that I would have is probably Drive Rush. I am not a fan of Drive Rush. The input reading issues, the burnout and stun, and maybe, and that's maybe my mind is trying to tell me to accept Street Fighter Six for what it is and not what it could be. I think that's a big thing too as well. Again, I'm comparing two different engines of games that I came from versus trying to learn something brand new from scratch. And maybe it's going to take more time for me to be like, all right, this is what Street Fighter Six is, and this is what you'll have to deal with. And those three things that are named that are disliked, those are all, mechanics of the game outside of the input reading. You know, hopefully they can adjust the input reading in that future patch. I think they will, because they did add the input setting on the character select. They patched that in, but it's still having issues. But again, I think it'll get cleaned up. But that's what I think for my three likes and dislikes for the game so far.
All right, what do you think, Retro?
Three things I like I said, the amount of features, it pretty much almost the same thing that Shale said. The amount of features, like, it's so much you can do. Like, if you, like I said, even if you want to take a break from fighting in the sense of just straight up competing, you can go explore, do open world, technically RPG elements and stuff, and featuring in it. It's the creativity it embraces. I love it. Yeah, the features. Number one thing. Number two, the amount of accessibility in many fashion, and not only just the controls, like the dynamics and modern and all, but also too, or those who have disabilities could access and play the game as well too, and the really in depth like details of the game, the frame data, the explanation of how the mechanics work, the breakdowns, and the training mode. Oh my gosh, I can live in training mode almost forever because I can really lab and everything, and I can find solutions to all types of problems, and I love it. And I said the mechanics personally I like because I like the idea. I like the mechanics. I like the parry. I like the drive impact. I like the drive rush. I like the idea of the mechanics. What I may dislike about it, for Third Strike, Street Fighter Six, is I don't like. I don't know. I think it'll be changed. I think like the balance. I won't say the balance of it, but then it's not too unbalanced. I would say. I mean, because it feels weird, but like some characters don't feel like they're winnable in any situations. Certain characters, I would say, and you don't see that much of the diversity as a result and the uses of the characters. Like, granted, we have that here in our scene, but overall as representation, you don't see that much of it. I mean, I think that's something that will be get fixed in the long run. Um, I was also say what I don't like about the game. I'm trying to think of other games that have it, but Street Fighter 6 doesn't. Um, it's really hard for me because like it's a lot of stuff I'm looking at right now too. It's hard for me to like say what I dislike about it because like everything because I think I'm probably more not maybe a whatever ish type of person and more abrasive about everything about it. But I do but there's a few gripes. It's just where I can't think of the other two besides the balance situation. So I'll let Ghost definitely take it from there. If I think about something, I'll come back after he's done.
All right, go.
The positive things of the game, number one is definitely the netcode. It's probably the best netcode I've ever seen for any fighting game. Some honorable mentions would go out to DNF, which was incredible. And there's a few things like Fightcade is exceptional to play on compared to most online fighting games. They did such a good job with their rollback for Fightcade, but having the main game so playable and so accessible online, like if this had Street Fighter V's netcode, people would be fed up already. But the fact that you can play online to Capcom Pro Tour standard, like you can play the game online that serious and it feels great, is a big win for me, especially coming out of COVID. I feel like it's a fighting game must have, that your game has to have good netcode now. It's not just about offline anymore, it's about online as well. And your game needs to be taken seriously online if it's going to do well. Like we've seen some other games that online is questionable, some of the big ones as well. Things like Dragon Ball Z still waiting for rollback, Tekken 7 garbage, MK1 not doing so good. Like they've really, really nailed it, and it's an amazing thing for the game. And I think it's one of the biggest selling points is how good the netcode is. And it's not even a feature of the game necessarily. It's just being able to play it online to that capacity, like Battle Hub or Avatar Battle, whatever you want to do, Extreme Battle. You can play it all online, and it's great against even people from far away. Like I've played with people from Korea, played with people from Brazil, and I'm not going to tell you it was the best, but it was playable. Like you can anti-air, you can whiff punish, you can react, and being able to play a game like that against people across the world is phenomenal. It's incredible. So number one for me absolutely has to be the netcode. Number two is the drive gauge. I love the drive gauge system. I love that you start with full bar and you get to just go ham, and you can burn yourself out 3 times in a round if you want to. But the mechanic that surrounds it, like the drive gauge and the burnout, and how it leads to chip damage and getting stunned in the corner, like meter management, even though you start with full gauge, meter management is so important in this game. Like you have to treat your drive gauge like your life bar, because if you run out of drive gauge and you have no super to defend yourself, you might as well lose 60% of your health. So you have to play around that so much, not only your own, but your opponents. And it leads to mad creativity. I've seen crazy block strings to burn people out from like 3 bars. And, people have got stun resets in the corner. It's like the burnout mechanic adds something so cool to the game. And, the fact that it changes the normals on block, you get more plus frames, leads to, again, additional creativity with pressure. You can do stuff to people in burnout that normally is not real. But in burnout, you can frame trap them and block string them because they can't press during the gaps because the gap is smaller. And I just think the mechanic behind that is super interesting to me. It leads to a lot of creativity. A lot of characters play around the drive gauge differently. And I think, yeah, as the game develops more, people are going to find more and more ways to, like, consistently burn their opponent out and find ways to deplete that drive gauge, whether it's drive impact combos or specific block string setups. There's a lot of stuff that's pretty airtight already. And for me, it's super interesting. I love playing around it. I love watching it, watching how people play when they're burned out, watching what people do when their opponent's burned out. It used to just be DI them. Now it's I can do 30% chip damage, then DI you, and you can't do anything about it. So for me, yeah, netcode, the drive gauge, I think is a great mechanic. And the third thing I really like, it's probably just having like it's so active again. You know, the fact we talked about this earlier, like there are tournaments every night of the week. You know, I love that the game's so big that some of these players are entering 5, 6 tournaments. They're playing like competitive Street Fighter at a world class level every night. You know, and the fact that people can do that is absolutely insane. And it's something I feel like now we're leaning towards more esports kind of in the FGC. I feel like that's only going to get bigger, and you know, the online presence of the game, the online tournaments, the amount of people that want to run their own like locals events, all that stuff is just going to continue to grow. And you know, I love to see that at the beginning of a game, and I feel like Street Fighter 6 is going to do it for a long time. So they're off to a great start for sure. Now,
Alright.
things I don't like. It is tough. It is tough to pick. You know, there's a few things I don't like. You guys touched on some of them already. The input reader. You know, you said you don't like some of the mechanics. I really like drive gauge combos, but I don't really like drive gauge neutral. Like, I don't like people just being able to drive rush in your face and fucking take plus frames from half screen away. And I feel like the screen freeze and everything else about it is just a little bit janky and maybe needs to be toned down a little bit. You know, I'm looking at DJ on the screen right now for Retro, and he's one of the main offenders. You know, his drive rush is mad fast. And yeah, I feel like it should maybe cost more. It should either cost more gauge, or there should be less of a reward for it, or they just need to do something to tone it down. But I'm still, again, I've only played the game for a few months, so I'm still not at the point where I can definitively say it's too good. It's just for me personally, it's a thing that I don't like because I kind of struggle to deal with it, and I feel like it evades neutral a lot of the time. You can just, some characters can just oppose themselves on you almost for free, it feels like. So yeah, the drive gauge in the neutral, like drive rush in the neutral, would definitely feel like that needs to be adjusted slightly. The damage, I think overall damage in this game is just a little bit too high across the cast. Like, we talk about Marissa and some of these other characters, but a lot of B&Bs for a lot of characters, we're talking 6,000 damage, and it's just too much. You know, some rounds are over in the blink of an eye because you start with full gauge, especially. Like, you have all the tools to do your biggest combo in 99 seconds, and you know, sometimes it means that there's not much counterplay because you only get to guess once, or only get to make a read once, or oh, I got hit, then I teched and I died. So I'd like to see them tone down the damage a little bit. So with some of the rounds last a little bit longer as well, we get to see a bit more of the nooch. That's always nice.
Okay.
So one more. I don't know, for me, those are the main two things. Like, you know, I probably would then probably mention the input reader because that's the one thing that probably. Actually, you know, there is one thing, right? Is the instability of CFN. Even though we talked about how good the netcode is, but
yeah.
you know, sometimes I don't feel like playing for a few days. Then suddenly I sit down and go, right, I want to play ranked for 10 hours today, or I want to grind the game, or you know, I just want to sit down and play. And I can't even play with my friends because CFN keeps kicking us out of lobbies, and I get disconnected from rank match and lose my MR. And it's like, you know, everything else is so good, and it seems like every time they update the game, they mess with something, trying to improve something, but it seems to get progressively worse each time. Like, my game, every time they update it, it doesn't really. I struggle on stream. I'm dropping frames the first time I run the game. And then yeah, just the constant disconnect is kind of, especially as like a tournament organizer, and like I run sets and stuff. When you've organized these people to come play on your stream, you know, they've practiced for a first to 7 or a first to 10, or they've been grinding out a tournament, and then suddenly in the middle of the game, when they've probably got an advantage, it just kicks them out and they have to start again. And it's the only real fair way as a TO is to get them to just start again, because you're in the past anyway, so you don't know exactly where the game was at when they DC'd. You just have to kind of roll with it and try and make it friendly for everyone. Like, we just run the game back. But, you know, as a competitor, I know how that feels when maybe something's going your way and then something out of your control puts you back to that situation, you know, back to neutral, if you like, where you have to then run it again and it doesn't go in your favor and it's not your fault. It's just it's the way the game is. So I'd really like to see them, work on the stability for CFN a lot more as time goes on.
Yeah. I remember one. The way you have to access the content through a big paywall, where, for example, some of the older music of the games should have already been like in the jukebox already featured, like whereas like Tekken 7 like let you have the entire library from the very first game to all the other games
Yeah,
they have.
exactly. I have Tekken 3 music on Tekken 7 all the time. It's all I listen to.
Right. And I think Street Fighter should have had that type. Like it was some content like that. Like I don't think you should do a battle pass just to unlock like older classic games. You have to pay money to unlock that type of stuff. Where other fight games older has that already like free. To be honest, and they're like much bigger too games. I think that should have been something like you should be able to either unlock it by playing the story mode and doing that, like those type of content. Costumes. I think the way to assess the things, especially for tournaments, like the costumes and colors. I think there should be. I think it should be just more paywall. Like you can still like unlock it and buy it through either buy it. I think at a cheaper price because it's like you have to grind a lot still to get that type of content, or you have to pay for it a lot for it. And like
It's
the
one of the
team,
things, it's probably the only positive thing I'll say about Street Fighter 5 during this whole podcast is that the fight money system was incredible. You could get every piece of content in the game just by playing the
fair,
game.
yeah, fair.
If you ever needed more incentive to play some rank matches, get some fight money, buy a new character, like that costs £5, you can have them for free just by playing the game.
Yeah, I actually bought the
And I
first
think
full
that
season.
system is amazing, and they should have brought that back in this game for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, that's the other thing. I think also too for me because I'm more of a lore person, they might expand more about it. But I think the purpose is like kind of create your own type of story ish. Like the story about what's going on in the game in the series, like the lore of it, is just like, well, you just now you have these new generation of people. Something's up, but it doesn't go on from it. So you don't really. There's nothing you can follow from it because you have some ideas and bits and pieces, but like I like the lore of the game in the franchise. It got really interesting.
It's funny, I love the lore of every other fighting game, and I don't care about it in Street Fighter at all.
Fair.
And it's so weird, but I'm like, for the game that I've played the most, and that I like the most, Street Fighter 4, I have no like ties to any kind of lore or character in the game. Whereas, Tekken, for instance, I played all the Tekken stories. They're amazing. Tekken 7 was especially amazing. The way they make a story to have Akuma in the game, like they justify it, and it's incredible content. And again, like I talked about Soul Calibur before. I love the Soul Calibur
Oh
lore.
yeah,
I
yeah.
love the single player content. It's like so deep how all the characters are linked in some way. And with Street Fighter, I just don't know. They just don't sell it to me.
No, I respect that. I respect it.
Yeah, the story. I mean, you have to kind of like piece together your own. You have to do like your own research on the story and whatever. They don't outright tell you too much. Especially the characters. I would like to see the characters interact more, like
Yeah.
story wise. I bet they don't really even talk to each other. They only talk to each other in like win quotes and stuff. So
Yeah,
I
like
would
look at
like to
Third Strike.
see.
You have those
Yeah,
custom intros for certain characters and stuff, and it kind of told you a piece of the story. And there's none of that anymore.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Now you just beat the like if you want to learn some more of the story, you just got to beat the character. And they tell you they give you a sentence about what could be going on, and that's it. So I know the story just I'm again it's not the best compared to other games, but there is a story there, believe it or not.
Hey, all I know
So
about
yeah,
Street Fighter 4 is that Blanca and Dan are friends, and Sakura follows Ryu around a lot. That's it.
that's the best lore. That's the lore is just you just pick a character and then they just go on adventures. That's it. They meet this person, they fight this person, and that's it. But yeah, definitely do appreciate you guys for coming in. We are coming past the 2 hour mark. So at this time, Retro, do well before we get to that, Ghost, was there anything you wanted to try to discuss on your end or talk about?
I mean, mostly I wanted to just talk about Street Fighter 6 and get some feedback from you guys, as fellow TOs and players from the other side of the pond. It's nice to know that people are mostly on the same page about the game. People do complain, but when you look at any other, like, look at Vanilla Marvel 3, look at Vanilla Street Fighter 4, look at any first version of a game, this is by far the best first version of a fighting game there's maybe ever been. It's incredible. And just finding out that other people, yeah, it's not a perfect game, but everyone's enjoying it for different reasons. Everyone would like some small changes here and there, and it's just super interesting to think about where the game's going to go and what you guys think about the direction of the game going forward. It'd be really interested to see what changes they do make when the time comes, and hopefully we can talk about it again. um but yeah, that was it really. Just happy to talk about some fighting games and hang out with you guys. It's been great.
All right, man. Appreciate you, coming through and taking your time to talk with us about how things. I mean, I already knew it's going to be, quite similar to how things go over here. Just a different atmosphere is all. As far as fighting game wise goes, you built your community, you play games with people, you meet new people. You bring them into the community. They play games. They stick around. They stick around, and you run different events and different tournaments. So just a different banner and a different location. That's all pretty much it is
That's all that changes,
at
right?
that point. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
one
I'll
of
give you
those
my final
life
thoughts about
things.
like FGC, right? Because
Mm,
I've been part of the fan game community for a long time. My local one, 10 years before that, I was playing down in London where I'm from. I've been playing these games and hanging out with people for as long as I can remember, 20 plus years. Um,
mm,
and a lot of that stuff's kind of like the offline scene has been lost a little bit in the last few years. And I just need to remind people how important it is to, you know, rep your local scene, help grow your local scene,
mm,
provide a setup if you can. Just turning up is usually enough. Just turn up and always support your locals, always support the offlines, because offline fighting games is what it's all about. There's nothing like it. Playing online is great, and it's great that this game allows you to play online competitively. But being in the same room with hundreds of people that love the same game, the hype of the crowd, the audience, the commentary, everything about offline fighting games is what makes it so great. So always support your scene and just be nice to people. You don't like five, you don't like four, keep it to yourself. And if you really enjoy a game, go out there and show some love to the people that like it too. Grow a community, do your thing. If I can do it, anyone can. There's nothing stopping you except yourself. So if you enjoy any kind of fighting game and you want to see stuff like this in the future, always support your scene, always support the players, and always try and make friends wherever you can, because most of the people you meet, they're gonna be friends for the rest of your life, man.
mm. Yeah, that was a beautiful message there.
Yes.
Beautiful message, Ghost. And 100% agree with that, man. It's just keep it. Was it keep it popping? Was it make it happen? Keep it popping.
Hey, that's
Always got
it.
to do that. It
That's it.
is.
There's nothing wrong with having rivalries, having some shit talk, but at the end of the game, you're all there because you love the fighting games. So have some banter, have some shit talk, run some money matches, but always shake the person's hand afterwards. Shake my hand. GG's
Yeah,
friends.
create your
This is the way.
You gotta create your own story, create memories, man, that'll last for a lifetime. You look back on this 10 years, 20, 15 years in the future, be like, hey, I found old footage of me playing this game in this tournament. Hey, I remember that person. I wonder what they're up to, stuff like that. You build memories and create lifelong friendships that way, man, especially if you're invested in the community. So, well, once again, definitely do appreciate you guys for coming through. So, Retro, do we have the slides ready?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. And I believe we'll be starting out with ghost events. So, there we go. Take it away.
Alright guys, so if anyone that doesn't know me, I stream on Twitch. Ghost SFO on Twitch. You can find me easily enough. Usually playing Street Fighter 6 or Street Fighter 4. I run a league twice a week on Mondays and Wednesdays, 7 p.m. UK, 2 p.m. Eastern. We also run a weekly tournament every Tuesday, 7:30 p.m. UK. That's 2:30 p.m. Eastern time. We've had nothing but killers this season. The levels have been ridiculous. So if you're from America, or wherever you're from, you want to see what high level Street Fighter looks like in the EU, come by my stream on a Tuesday and you'll see some of the finest players that we got. We're currently on episode 4 of the season, so there's going to be at least 12 more tournaments. And yet, last season was incredible, and this year, the level of play has already blown my mind. You know, we've had 3 different winners. People are showcasing all this tech that nobody's seen before. It's a super exciting time to be a Street Fighter fan, and you know, if you enjoy watching the game at the highest level, these tournaments are for you. And if you're from NA, Untamed Gaming, we also do the same thing in North America. So hit up Shadow Ace or hit up DJ Vest, Jaco Man to point you in the direction of the Untamed Gaming tournament. I believe they run every week on a Sunday for NA.
Bi-weekly on
Bi-weekly, there you go.
Sundays.
So either way, Untamed
Yeah.
Gaming, we got you covered for all your Street Fighter 6 needs. Halfway across the world, yo. I'm telling you honestly, this season of tournaments has been ridiculous. Like, people are so good now. Hey, so hopefully you guys will come by and check it out sometime.
Oh no, for sure, man. I'll definitely be lurking. I mean, I don't like. I'll have the stream up, and I'll just be doing my work, so I can't really talk into the chat. But I'll be lurking. I
Hey,
would
it's
like,
always
you know,
nice to know people are lurking,
I
man.
check out some of them. Just yeah. I check out some of that event. But go ahead, continue.
All right, so we talked about the online side. Obviously, I mentioned offline fighting games is where it's at. We've been running SFO for 10 years now, and our like major tournament for the year is Rival Scenes, which is this weekend. It's the only tournament in the UK or in Europe, I think, that is just a team tournament. There's no singles, there's no double limb bracket. There's just teams and shit talk, and you know, repping your local scene and going against other people's scenes and talking shit about them. And we have this every year. Tekken was today. That's why I was a bit late in today, because I was, you know, doing some TO stuff. And tomorrow we got Street Fighter 6 starting at, it's early for you guys, it's 7 a.m. Eastern. Starts at midday for us. I believe we've got 15 teams, so it's 45 players. And we're going to run a double limb bracket, I believe, with all these teams. So it's going to be crazy. I'll also be commentating on the stream,
Wow.
SFO TV. So make sure you come by, check it out. It's going to be mad hype.
Oh, that sounds godlike.
It does.
Trust me, I love Rival Scenes. It's so good every year.
Yeah, I need to take a trip. Renew my passport and come up there.
Hey, you guys ever want to come to the EU? You know, we got you, man. We'll host you. We'll run some events. Make you feel right at home. We had a Roman actually came over all the way from LA.
Nice.
A few weeks ago now. Yeah, he came and hung out for a few days. We took him to see some nice stuff. You know, got him all the nicest cuisine we got. Played some games. Yeah, it was real good, man. And yeah, all you guys are welcome. Anyone listening to this, you ever want to come to the EU and play fighting games, help your boy Ghost.
Hey.
Take that in consideration in the future for sure.
Definitely. Yep. Yeah, I believe that's of all the events from your end. Finally, I got it together. Hopefully, it comes out nice. Yes. So, 2 Saturdays from now, we're going to have our final tournament of the year at Reboot, Retrocade, and Bar. Of course, we're going to have Smash Brothers, Street Fighter, Tekken, Guilty Gear, MK, and there is already declared a $150 pot for both Street Fighter and Tekken each. So the money might be increasing as time goes on, and we might be having some money-hungry people, some special guests, some tough opponents to come down. We had some people coming from Savannah to come down to compete. So looking forward to that. We're trying to defend our turf, and hopefully we can defend it this time. But yes, that's all the details there. Of course, you'll check out the Reboot Retrocade Gaming social media for the links to the tournament and everything. Of course, in addition to not just here in Macon, but we're going to have, of course, more Georgia events. Maybe there may not be a major for Georgia, in a sense, for FGC, but it will be a special event for the Georgia crew. We're going to have a game convention called DreamHack, and that's going to be at the Georgia World Congress Center the week after our event. Thanks to Junk Food for providing a 20% ticket discount. So definitely, if you guys are interested in going to DreamHack and will save a little bit of money on the tickets, you definitely can put in that code when apply it, And yeah, you and the buddy can save some money, and
Hey,
you'll be
that's
good
so
to
sick
go.
that you guys are having DreamHack, man. That's awesome.
Oh yeah, yeah. The shout out to Jabali who been running it for a while. Shout out to Jabali and the crew. Definitely, and they put in $25,000 at least for many of the games featured, and of course, 5,000 for Street Fighter. You have a couple thousand for MK, Tekken, Smash, Guilty Gear, and Grand Blue was actually going to have his debut right on like the weekend, right before the weekend. So yeah, there are also going to be other games that's going to be featured that actually had money prizes. And the cool thing about it, you pay for the entry to the convention, but for the tournament, each entry is $1. Very cheap.
That's so good. That's so. I was looking at your local $5 entry per venue and per game. I'm like, it's so good. Even if you just want to go and spectate and support the scene for $5, it's a bargain.
Oh
But yeah,
no! Oh
DreamHack
yeah!
$1 tournament entry, pop bonus. It's crazy.
Oh yeah. Well, spectator for our tournament, and our locals for many of our locals, spectator is free. Definitely.
There you go. See that? You don't even have to pay if you don't want to. You can just spectate for free.
Yeah, because plus it's at the bar, so you're gonna spend the money on the drink. So hey.
Hey, that's the other thing we should talk about, right? With locals, wherever you're at, a bar or whatever, always support the venue. Never take your own stuff. Buy a little drink at the bar. Maybe buy the TO a drink at the bar to say thank you.
Hey.
Supporting these venues, it's the reason that we get to use them. If we didn't spend money at the bar, support them, they wouldn't support us. So it works both ways, guys. So if you ever go to your locals, always try and buy a little something at the bar, even if it's for your TO or for your friend, whatever. Try and support the venue as much as you can, especially now after COVID. They need the support more than ever, yo.
Amen to that. And of course, you're gonna let Shadow Ace take on from here because this is gonna be a big event in next year, March.
Yeah, this particular event is something that's going to require all hands on deck to hopefully run and make happen. This is the part of the data cruise big event, the max mode, sort of its own event. I don't want to say it's a successor to what final round was. This is beginning its own legacy, for sure. But this is the first big major in our state in a while, and I am very excited to attend this. I will be hopefully doing their commentary for Street Fighter Six, Sam Show, maybe Street Fighter Five, maybe at a side tournament or whatever. But we'll see what happens once the schedule comes out and a little bit more information is available. But I am excited to be a part of this particular event in March. It's going to be held at a hotel, and I've been to that hotel before. Very, very nice venue, for sure. But it is since it's a 3 day event. It has more of that major feeling,
Nice.
and I'm very excited to again be a part of that. So the mix mode, more details are going to be available soon. Um, if you want to follow the progression of any updates about the event, please check out the Data FGC on Twitter, where they post up updates for the event as far as any updates to registration, side game, volunteers. All of that information can be found on their Twitter page. But yeah, that'll be it for now. Max Mode coming in March 2024.
And I believe at the time being, you're also going to do some qualifiers, or you have been doing qualifiers with y'all tournaments, right, to get points to get entry to that.
Yeah, yeah. They also have circuit events. Winners of these particular events earn points, and at the end of probably like the final tournament, maybe in February or something, like the winners will get free passes, or free passes and game entry to their particular event, sponsored by Data FGC. So right now the circuit is going on for players to earn points on that. So if you are in the Georgia area and you'd like to compete for those points to earn and get that free entry and badge paid for, you would have to enter those particular events. But good experience all the way, man. I know we got a lot of guests, out of state guests, out of country guests coming in. Mexico, DR, got West Coast coming in from the U.S. So there's definitely be some really
Hey.
strong game representation. coming out there. So yeah, this is the event that's all hands on deck that I'll be a part of, and I'm excited to make history.
Hey, it's gonna be sick, man. Even if I can't make it out, I'll definitely be watching that.
Yeah.
And, you got Marvel on the mix as well. Like, come on, Marvel, still
Yep.
making it everywhere you look, bro. Oh, I love this. I want to see
Yep.
Street Fighter 4
Yeah,
on this Monday. You know?
you might have inspired me to, run a 4-side tournament. I think I'm gonna do that.
Hey, that'd be godlike.
Oh, you always want to get the.
I talk to whoever I need to talk to, and then we'll make it happen from there.
Oh, you know
But,
what? One thing
yeah.
I forgot to mention to you guys is that next year, you guys, I'm sure have heard of Versus Fighting. It's like our big tournament here in the UK. It's probably one of the biggest ones in Europe now. It's normally CPT, Tekken World Tour, Arxis World Tour. You know, it's the big tournament. So next year in August, I'll be running Marvel 3 and Street Fighter 4 there. Have their own tournament on the Saturday and the Sunday,
Nice.
alongside the other
Nice.
50 games that are going to be there. So, you know, if any of you guys can make it out to the EU next year, Versus Fighting Tournament of the Year, yo. It's the best thing we got here.
All right. So, that sounds dope.
All right. Yeah, there it is. Yeah. All right. Well, heard them. Maybe people looking to book their ticket, looking into traveling across the pond. That's one of your opportunities for sure. Is to go to an event, something of that nature there. But I think retro. Did we have anything else, or that was it for this evening?
I believe that, yeah, that was it. That I got.
Okay. All right. Once again, want to thank Ghost here for spending this time out and talking with us, and just chatting it up about some six and some fighting game knowledge you dropped. And thank you, Retro, again for agreeing to host this discussion with me for
Mm-hmm.
sure. And we're just gonna keep going from there, man. Just keep going. I have an idea. Um, I call it the Paintball Holiday Special, so that's currently in the works, and will drop sometime in December. So stay tuned for the details of that. But for now, I think Ghosts, any last words, and where can good people find you at?
Hey, you can check me out on Twitch, you know, twitch.tv, Ghost SFO. I'm also Ghost SFO on Twitter. You want to keep up with the EU fighting game scene. I post all my tournament results. We post clips. You know, I keep people up to date with all the events, everything that's going on. Obviously, you get yourself a pigeon in the stream too. I also have my own Discord, the Ghost House. If you want to check that out, find me on Twitter. All the links are there. Come and join the best community in the EU for fighting games, yo. Shadow Ace, thank you so much for having me on. Always great to talk to my favorite El Fuerte player who can't run stop fierce. And Retro, pleasure as well. It's great to talk to you guys.
Pleasure.
Yeah, hopefully, you know, the game will get a little update in a few months and we'll get to talk about it again, see how we feel.
Absolutely.
Oh, for sure, man. We'll definitely get the run back. We'll definitely get
Hey,
a run
Rocky
back
2, let's go.
further down the line. Yeah, we definitely want to get Rocky 2 for the podcast. But Retro, what you got for the good people?
Well, I'd like to say thank you guys. Thank you, Ghost, for definitely coming through and definitely giving us a lot of interest and great insight into the UK scene and a lot of knowledge, and definitely a lot of advices and of course a lot of perspectives about how you feel about the game and the scene as a whole. And I really appreciate that. So I definitely enjoyed it. Definitely will not be the last time. Hopefully look forward to, like I said, meet whether on online or hopefully in person. So definitely looking forward to it.
Hey, it sounds good, bro.
Mm-hmm. Yes, definitely. And of course, thanks to Shadow Ace for hosting, and thank to the people in the chat for the support. Thank you guys for coming through, especially the Pigeon crew, especially the Untamed Gaming crew, all those SFO crew, those representing Ghost as well and his homies. So thank you guys so much. Shout out to y'all. Well, I'm going to have a familiar face for the Untamed Gaming that plays with Ryu. Going to show you guys over to him. We're going to raid him, show him some support. Plays some Street Fighter 6 right now with Ryu. Blockbuster John.
Hey, shouts to John.
Yep.
All right, so, you guys take care, be safe, and again, if you're coming in late, this episode will be archived. If you're doing pleasure, and think it'll be up by when? By Monday? Retro?
Yeah, I have it ready by
NBA?
Monday.
All right, cool. So I'll definitely look forward to listening to that for sure while doing household chores and whatnot. But GG's, you guys be safe, and we'll catch you next time for episode 7. Be easy.
Hey, take it easy, guys.